Jiang Chen leaves wave 45 with more than 3 million personal points, a score large enough to overturn the county ranking. Instead of celebrating, he immediately spends spirit stones to turn 2 territory talismans into upgrades no ordinary lord could afford. 600 cherry blossom towns now threaten the county, and frightened lords are already preparing to abandon his side before war begins. Jiang Chen has no intention of running, because his forge-like advantage can raise items, buildings, troops, and materials far beyond their original grades. The first proof costs him 10 million spirit stones, upgrading a cheap E-rank territory talisman all the way to B rank. The moment he uses it, spiritual energy surges and a miniature dragon forms from mist, then dives beneath his land. The new dragon vein produces 10,000 spirit stones every day, improves nearby resources, and raises his chances of attracting exceptional people. One purchase has turned his territory into a growing fortune engine, and Jiang Chen still has an A-rank talisman waiting. He earned that second talisman by killing a beasto, so wasting it on a normal upgrade would be almost insulting. After another forge enhancement, the talisman evolves his territory talent into Blessed Paradise, a spatial ability with 3 separate functions. The first function creates hidden pocket dimensions whose combined area can equal the visible territory outside. The second lets Jiang Chen move spiritual energy between those hidden spaces whenever one area needs a higher concentration. The third is the truly absurd part, because spirit stones can be burned to alter the flow of time inside a pocket dimension. Jiang Chen tests the new power by folding the Tianyin Pavilion out of normal space until the entire building disappears. The Empress searches the empty ground, sensing that the structure still exists while failing to locate any entrance. Jiang Chen then gives his trusted people spatial access keys, allowing them to cross the boundary without exposing the hidden location. The Empress steps in and out several times, visibly trying to understand how a whole building can occupy space nobody else can reach. Jiang Chen sends her into the meditation room and tells her to train through the night before judging the upgrade. Before entering, the Empress pauses long enough to ask whether Lahani might secretly be thousands of years older than she looked. Learning that Lahani is still younger by 2 years satisfies a surprisingly petty concern about remaining the eldest woman in Jiang Chen's inner circle. Only then does the Empress step into the accelerated room with the calm dignity she was trying to protect. Roughly 1 hour later, she returns exhausted and confused, insisting she has already completed an entire night's cultivation. Yin checks the outside time and explains that only 62 minutes have passed since the Empress entered. 10 hours inside can now pass during 1 hour outside, turning the hidden room into a brutally expensive training accelerator. Spirit stones are the fuel, but Jiang Chen can now compress months of skill practice into a fraction of the original time. He sends Yin and Lihani inside as well, and their rising favorability confirms exactly how valuable the new training space feels. The Empress's favorability settles around 98. Yin reaches roughly 96, and even sword-focused Lahani rises near 90 after experiencing the time chamber. None of them needs a speech about the building's value. 10 times more training opportunities make the benefit personal the moment they use it. Before sleeping, Jiang Chen sorts the rewards from Wave 45 instead of letting a mountain of loot clog his inventory. Stat books are absorbed immediately, while 3 epic chests, 5 epic weapons, and a spatial seal scroll are stored for later use. The most dangerous reward is Meteor Hell, the same legendary spell Abisto once used against him. Its requirement is 500 spirit power and 500 soul power, so even the Empress cannot cast it before level 30. Jiang Chen files the spell under future problems and turns to the demon corpses piled up from the battlefield. More legendary farmers are recruited to process them, and his god farmer talent multiplies the blood bones and usable materials 5-fold. By morning, the profitable cleanup is interrupted by a beam of transfer light leaving town, followed by another, then another. News that roughly 600 cherry blossom towns occupy the county has frightened weaker lords into buying transfer tokens at inflated prices. Jiang Chen posts one simple policy as town lord. Anyone may leave tonight, but tomorrow the gates will be locked. He refuses to beg anyone to stay, because forced migration later will cost far more than choosing honestly now. Wei Ming answers first and stays, while Mu Qingshuan makes it clear that a soldier does not abandon land simply because danger appears. Little fox girl Ye Ya declares that wherever Jiang Chen remains, she remains, proudly adding that her Dragon Nation citizenship counts too. Others are less brave, including one debtor who quietly disappears while still owing Wei Ming 100,000 spirit stones. Wei Ming spends the next several minutes publicly cursing the runaway, which at least gives the remaining lords some entertainment. By sunset, only 403 lords remain from a population of roughly 800. Jiang Chen sees the exodus as painful but useful, because the people who stayed have already chosen which side they trust. Before inviting his core group to dinner, he hides every asset that would reveal how far ahead his territory actually is. The life spring disappears into deep space, the legendary tavern follows, and excess spiritual energy is redirected away from the visible land. From the outside, Jiang Chen's base now resembles an ordinary level 3 starter territory, with almost nothing worth stealing. 7 core allies gather around a table covered with seafood, most of it outstanding grade with a few epic dishes mixed in. Even that limited menu shocks the guests, because food carrying permanent or temporary benefits is still rare for normal lords. Ye Ya settles beside Jiang Chen, happily eating until her face shines with grease, and then asking whether he has chicken. The tiny fox spirit barely reaches 1.5 meters, yet her gold-rimmed glasses make her look strangely serious between bites. Wei Ming brings the conversation back to reality, warning that losing half the population could cripple future town competitions. Ye Ya insists Jiang Chen can carry half the sky by himself, which earns her another piece of fish instead of an explanation. Jiang Chen keeps quiet about his 3 million personal points, because revealing that much strength before the rankings serves no purpose. He does make one public decision: their town needs a name, and he proposes Dragon Abyss. The meaning is simple: a hidden dragon rising from the depths before eventually reaching the heavens, and the group approves immediately. The second decision is administration, so Jiang Chen assigns official posts instead of trying to manage every problem himself. Wei Ming becomes security chief, several others receive practical roles, and Jiang Chen gets exactly what he wants: competent people handling routine work. Ying Man then announces that she is leaving Dragon Abyss, but Jiang Chen already understands the reason. A town lord receives an extra hero slot, and someone with her resources would be foolish to surrender that advantage permanently. She plans to take control of Town 10,000, where descendants of an ancient imperial line already have a foothold. The move keeps her inside the same county, so leaving Jiang Chen's town does not mean leaving his alliance. Chu Xia watches him delegate everything and accuses him of becoming a hands-off boss before the town is even stable. Jiang Chen dryly corrects her: the hands-off part is not a future plan, because he has already started doing it. The county channel interrupts dinner with news that Town 10,148 has completed its breakthrough. Surprisingly, the second and third towns to advance are both Dragon Nation towns rather than Cherry Blossom strongholds. One is led by Yi Aaron from White River City, while the other belongs to the hot-tempered Xiao Wushang. Their stories are similar. Frightened residents rushed the breakthroughs so they could claim rewards before transferring away. Yi Aaron still believes the ranking contest favors Cherry Blossom Nation, but Xiao Wushang offers one promising name. Zhu Yeqing controls Town 10,010, descends from ancient royalty, and follows the rare martial merit lord path. Martial merit lords pour resources into their own bodies rather than armies, eventually reaching the kind of strength that can kill dragons barehanded. Zhu Yiqing also commands epic imperial guards, giving Dragon Nation at least one obvious contender besides Ying Man. The optimism fades when intelligence reveals Jinba Yuichi has been importing powerful lords with expensive transfer tokens. 3 noble descendants have already joined his side, and that is only one hostile town among hundreds. Chu Xia suggests forcing every Dragon Nation town to break through within 2 days, hoping to seize all top 10 ranking positions. Yi Aaron explains why that cannot happen. The strongest towns are ready, but weaker ones still need at least another week. 2 Cherry Blossom towns break through almost immediately afterward, and their leaders begin boasting in county chat. One loudmouth named Sambin 46 promises conquest so confidently that Xiao Wushang nearly starts a verbal war with him. Then, Sambin opens a county betting table for the ranking contest, accidentally presenting Jiang Chen with a much more interesting battlefield. Jiang Chen could make millions by openly selling legendary forged equipment, but powerful contacts have already warned him to keep that ability quiet. Gambling gives him cleaner income, especially when opponents are eager to bet against a town they believe is weak. Ying Man teases Ye Ya for claiming Jiang Chen can carry the town, asking why the fox has not bet on Dragon Abyss. Ye Ya puffs up her cheeks and puts 10,000 spirit stones on Dragon Abyss purely out of pride. Ying Man reimburses the stake after feeling guilty. Then Ye Ya cheerfully declares they can split the profit if Dragon Abyss wins. Everyone at the table treats the bet like money thrown away, while Jiang Chen silently realizes the fox may have bought a fortune. Sambin notices the tiny wager and mocks it publicly, promising ritual suicide if Dragon Abyss even reaches the top 10. The hostile chat nearly turns the harmless bet into an intelligence problem, so Ying Man claims the wager was her mistake. With attention redirected, Jiang Chen sends his guests home carrying boxes of food that would be considered luxury medicine elsewhere. He also sells Ying Man an epic dragon spear for 5 million spirit stones, keeping business separate from friendship. That night, Jiang Chen drinks his daily life essence and pulls out the martial technique he has been saving. Only 2 more bottles of that life essence are needed before his natural talent can reach B rank, giving the nightly drink its own quiet progression track. The improvement is slower than his forged equipment spikes, but Jiang Chen values permanent aptitude because it remains useful after temporary resources disappear. 20 million spirit stones transform it into Volume 1 of the 8-9 Mystic Art, in a rank body cultivation method. The manual warns that training demands willpower, wisdom, fortunes, and acceptance of serious risk. Jiang Chen's advantage makes the warning almost comedic, because he learns the technique instantly instead of spending years understanding the first stage. His body changes so violently that hunger hits next, forcing him to devour enough legendary meat for several normal people. When the transformation settles, his physical stat has risen by 300 points to 548 at level 10. The result gives him the kind of body that can tear apart large monsters without relying on a weapon. The price is exclusivity, because the 8-9 Mystic Art cannot coexist with his old martial techniques. His beloved radio calisthenics technique disappears from the skill list, a ridiculous casualty of a divine-grade upgrade path. Jiang Chen considers teaching the new art to the Empress and his troops, then rejects the idea once he sees the development cost. A technique that blocks every alternative path would ruin normal soldiers, so this resource-hungry monster stays personal. Overnight, 11 more towns complete breakthroughs, most of them from Dragon Nation despite earlier predictions of total collapse. Cherry Blossom's strongest towns appear to be waiting deliberately, using the extra time to farm points before settlement. Jiang Chen respects the strategy, but after surviving Wave 45, he is already treating the contest as a fight for second place. His next project is the Town Lord exclusive Anywhere door, upgraded to level 3 for 3 shared teleportation gates. Each gate can reach locations within 300 kilometers, and Jiang Chen opens them to town members at discounted rates. The remaining lords celebrate like he built a miracle, partly because the people who fled yesterday gave up access to all of it. Town chat fills with chants for the boss, as residents realize 3 shared gates can replace hours of dangerous travel for ordinary gathering teams. Several people immediately imagine the transferred lords learning what they abandoned, which turns basic infrastructure into another morale victory for those who stayed. Jiang Chen then activates his personal door, aims beyond the town border, and looks into an endless grassland called the Outer Domain. Unclaimed land means unclaimed monsters, mines, bosses, and discoveries. So he gathers the Empress, Yin dragons, goddess warriors, and Tianyin elites. An iron lion attacks the moment they cross, only for the Empress to cut it apart before it finishes its charge. Jiang Chen divides the force into exploration teams with simple orders: hunt, search for rare resources, report discoveries, and avoid pointless deaths. Xu Xia calls almost immediately, saying a level 30 epic bear is chasing her after already killing 2 dwarves. Jiang Chen is no longer surprised, because dangerous creatures and rare discoveries seem to find Xu Xia before she finds them. Before rescuing her, he notices Dragon 9 has reached level 20 and unlocked shapeshifting. When asked to transform, the dragon becomes unexpectedly shy and requests that everyone look away first. Dragon 10 tries to reassure her by saying she is attractive for a dragon, even if the human result turns out terrible. Dragon 9 shrinks from a 30-meter beast into a tall woman with short black hair and a sharp modern outfit. Jiang Chen recognizes the face as nearly identical to a famous actress from his previous life, apparently shaped by his own mental image. The transformation does not reduce her combat power, but it does let her equip armor designed for a human body. 4 million spirit stones later, a custom epic set raises her combat power from 360 stars to 480. Her physical stat reaches 600, proving that a dragon with equipment is considerably more dangerous than the same dragon fighting bear scaled. Jiang Chen opens a door to Xu Xia and assigns Dragon 9 as her temporary bodyguard. The epic bear that killed 2 dwarves lasts only moments once Dragon 9 reaches it. Xu assumes Jiang Chen has just loaned out his strongest trump card and asks who will protect him now. He answers by opening another portal, through which 11 more legendary dragons roar overhead. Dragon 9 is not his only dragon. She is simply one member of a full 12-dragon squad. Xu Xia is stunned enough to clutch her chest, finally believing she understands how Jiang Chen defeated stronger public rivals. Jiang Chen lets her keep that misunderstanding, because the dragons are actually among his weaker legendary assets now. Dragon 9 claims the bear's epic scroll and armor for Jiang Chen, then offers Xu Xia half the processed meat. Xu Xia refuses the split, calling the arrangement fair because his dragon performed the rescue. Jiang Chen promises to send epic food later, while Dragon 9 waves goodbye with more enthusiasm than Xu Xia's own Dwarf King ever shows. The portal closes, and Yin reports new discovery 10 kilometers southeast: 1,000 ironback wolves, and an outstanding wolf king. More importantly, a refined copper mine sits near the pack, exactly the resource Jiang Chen needs for the next territory upgrade. He personally tests the 8-9 mystic art by punching several wolves, crushing one skull with a single bare-handed strike. The rush is satisfying enough that Jiang Chen deliberately stops before strength turns into battle addiction. For the next 2 days, his teams dominate the outer domain and kill 11 outstanding monsters without serious losses. Dragon 9 remains with Xuxia and adds an epic Golden Lion King to the growing list of profitable accidents surrounding her. During the same period, Ying Ying Man takes control of Town 10,000 and becomes a town lord in her own right. A cherry blossom lord named Fujiwara then tries recruiting Jiang Chen with promises of money, women, and status. Jiang Chen rejects him with one line, asking whether an ant can really become friends with a dragon. Xiao Wushang finds the insult hilarious, while Fujiwara leaves the channel after calling Jiang Chen arrogant. The Copper Hall finally lets Jiang Chen raise his territory to level 4, expanding the visible land to 70,000 square meters. Blessed Paradise doubles that practical space with another 70,000 hidden square meters that outsiders cannot inspect. With enough room for his epic structures, Jiang Chen prepares for the ranking settlement, while more powerhouse towns rush breakthroughs. Jinba Yuichi's Cherry Blossom Stronghold advances, followed by Zhu Yiking's Dragon Nation town and more than 20 others within 2 hours. Zhu Yiqing even places 1 million spirit stones on his own town, publicly declaring confidence through the betting board. Jinba enters county chat next and tells Jiang Chen he should run before it is too late. The warning feels less like mercy and more like bait, making Jiang Chen suspect Jinba actually wants him to stay accessible. Dragon Abyss's management group worries enough that Mu Qingxuan sends him a premium transfer token supplied through military channels. Yi Ya offers to hide him in her own territory, an adorable plan that ignores the obvious difference in defensive strength. Jiang Chen begins explaining why no attack should arrive before rankings settle, and reality immediately punishes the prediction. A Tianyin disciple reports invisible units outside his territory, already marked by the detection lighthouse. From a rooftop hidden inside deep space, Jiang Chen watches gray shadows scout the land while remaining unaware that everyone is exposed. The infiltrators withdraw, then hundreds of troops emerge from the fog, including samurai, stars, and epic swordmasters. No forced entry alert appears, which means the invaders did not break the town barrier from outside. Someone already living inside Dragon Abyss opened a personal route for them, turning the invasion into proof of a traitor. The enemy force advances confidently because Jiang Chen's visible territory shows barely a dozen soldiers and no obvious defensive towers. Several invaders even discuss stealing his decorative street lamp blueprints, believing they are scouting an almost empty starter base. One commander finally notices the truth. Those harmless lamps belong to a detection network, and the entire force has been spotted. He orders a spatial seal scroll used before Jiang Chen can escape, but the command arrives far too late. 20 dwarf rocket soldiers have already locked their launchers on the clustered formation from hidden positions. 20 enormous spirit rockets fall together, and the approaching army disappears beneath overlapping explosions before it can spread out. 2 enemy lords die in the first barrage, along with an epic swordmaster squad that never reaches attack range. More than 2 million energy enters Jiang Chen's account almost instantly, while the unused spatial seal scroll becomes part of his loot. The dwarves look almost disappointed that their work lasted seconds. So Jiang Chen releases them to the beer they actually care about. The military threat is gone, but the internal problem remains. Someone in Dragon Abyss gave the attackers a legal entry route. Jiang Chen cannot prove the traitor's identity directly, so he manufactures a reason for the guilty person to panic. In town chat, he claims the 2 enemy lords were captured alive and are currently being tortured for information. The claim is completely false, because the targets were vaporized by rockets, but 5 seconds later the trap works. Lord Wang Jinghao force migrates out of Dragon Abyss at enormous expense without waiting for anyone to accuse him. Wei Ming erupts because Wang lived nearby, while Mu Qingxuan promises a military tribunal if the traitor returns to Blue Star. Yi Ya joins the outrage with a surprisingly detailed history comparison, then happily rambles when Jiang Chen praises her knowledge. Jiang Chen keeps the 10 Wrath Towers hidden inside deep space even after the attack, preserving the illusion that rockets were his only defense. He recalls his personal attendant and several Tianyin disciples from the outer domain anyway, mostly because the attendant gives excellent shoulder massages. Across the county, Jinba Yuichi is hosting his noble allies and promising that Jiang Chen will soon be kneeling before them. His toast freezes halfway to his mouth when repeated notifications announce the deaths of swordmasters sent the assassination mission. A panicked subordinate confirms that Watanabe and Matsushita are dead, but no useful combat reports survived with them. Watanabe's final message contains only a confused reference to something extremely large and long. Jinba's entire room misreads the phrase, because nobody realizes the dying man was staring at an incoming dwarf rocket. Unable to understand the failure, Jinba decides Wang Jinghao must have betrayed them and orders agents to eliminate his own frightened spy. He also convinces himself Jiang Chen used a silence scroll, never considering that Watanabe simply died too quickly to finish typing. With the assassination erased, Jiang Chen turns to the event he actually cares about, the county ranking betting pool. Roughly 240 million spirit stones fill the pot, with most wagers concentrated on cherry blossom towns. Jinba's town carries roughly 67 million of those stones, while Hojo's late surge reaches more than 40 million and looks like the fashionable dark horse bet. Zhu Yexing's town attracts around 16 million, enough to make it the only Dragon Nation option serious gamblers are discussing near the top. Dragon Abyss remains buried near 32nd, the betting board, which is exactly where Jiang Chen wants it before his final wager arrives. Jinba's town leads the betting board. Hojo Town sits close behind, and Zhu Yexing is the only Dragon Nation contender near the top. Dragon Abyss sits near the bottom with only about 1 million spirit stones, wagered and odds around 240 to 1. Jiang Chen waits until the final seconds, then quietly puts 990,000 spirit stones on his own town. Yi Yan notices the total jump and realizes she may have missed a much larger opportunity, but Jiang Chen reminds her not to become greedy. Golden ranking letters finally appear across the sky, beginning with 10th place and immediately delivering a strange surprise. 10th place belongs to Watanabe Atsuki, the same town Lord Jiang Chen's rockets killed less than an hour earlier. Because Watanabe is dead, the system cancels his personal stat reward and transfers that bonus to whoever finishes first. Jiang Chen has already taken Watanabe's energy troops and scroll. Now the dead attacker may improve his stats again from beyond the grave. Places 10 through 5 continue appearing, and everyone belongs to Cherry Blossom Nation. Their county chat explodes with confidence as people begin predicting a complete sweep of all 10 ranking positions. Jinba and Hojo Mai even trade playful messages about which of them will take first and second. Then 4th place appears, and Jinba's town is just sitting there instead of anywhere near the top 2. All the imported nobles, expensive transfers, and public boasting have earned him the same basic reward as the lower finalists. Huang Shan asks permission to trash-talk him, so Jiang Chen officially appoints the man diplomatic officer and tells him to use his gift. Dragon Nation lords flood back into the conversation as Huang Shen starts dismantling Jinba's confidence in public. 3rd place belongs to Zhu Yexing, but his result carries a cost nobody can laugh at. He used a forbidden technique that damages his own body, squeezing out enough points to beat Jinba, while leaving himself coughing blood. Zhu Yexing immediately offers to reimburse anyone who lost money betting on him, even though he is the one suffering the injury. Jiang Chen respects that kind of pride and tells him his ancestors have nothing to be ashamed of. With Jinba 4th and Zhu Yexing 3rd, everyone starts searching for the supposedly hidden cherry blossom towns occupying 1st and 2nd. Nobody pays attention to Dragon Abyss at the bottom of the betting board, except Yi Ya and the man who placed the enormous late wager. Sambin 46 confidently repeats his ritual suicide promise. Certain Dragon Abyss cannot even reach the top 10. Jiang Chen finally types that Dragon Abyss will take first, and both sides of the county channel go silent before erupting in disbelief. Jinba mocks the claim because Wang Jinghao reported Dragon Abyss barely crossing 1 million points before leaving the battlefield. That information is technically accurate. What Wang never saw was Jiang Chen continuing through another 30 waves after almost everyone else withdrew. Even Dragon Abyss's own members hesitate to defend their lord publicly, because none of them knows his final personal score. Ying Man suddenly reacts after finding Jiang Chen's late wager, understanding that he would never risk nearly 1 million stones without certainty. Wei Ming notices the same bet, and Mu Qingxuan remembers Jiang Chen remaining on the battlefield long after the others left. Their public theory becomes that Jiang Chen, Ying Man, and Chu Xia must have combined for an impossible late-scoring run. Chu Xia privately knows the truth is even stranger, because she lasted only 14 waves and Ying Man left long before Jiang Chen. Her mother, City Lord Lu Ashi, dismisses the idea that one teenager could have farmed roughly 2 million points alone. The next golden announcement answers the argument, without asking anyone's permission. 1st place belongs to Dragon Abyss Town, and Jiang Chen receives 50 points to every stat plus 5 points of town luck. Lu Ashi freezes over her snack while Chu Xia simply reminds her that Jiang Chen stopped being reasonable several miracles ago. Sambin 46 now has a much more immediate problem, because Dragon Abyss did not merely reach the top 10. Wei Ming also remembers calling his tiny wager dog food money and instantly reframes it as a ceremonial tribute to his lord. Jiang Chen barely notices the comedy, because the 5 luck points begin changing physical resources across his territory. An ordinary iron mine mutates, a crystal mine improves into a 5-color deposit, and a silver mine becomes outstanding grade mithril. Similar upgrades erupt throughout Dragon Abyss, rewarding every lord who chose to stay instead of transferring away. New rare monsters appear around improved mines, and even attacks become exciting when better luck means better drops. Liu Ashi advises Chu Sha not to correct the rumor that 3 people carried the ranking together. Spreading credit keeps Jiang Chen's real strength less obvious, and Chu Sha gains a useful favor without telling a single lie. Ying Man privately reaches another dangerous conclusion. Jiang Chen's hidden advantage seems to consume enormous quantities of spirit stones. She links his strange spending habits, troop creation rumors, and desperate interest in betting profits into one mostly accurate picture. Jiang Chen considers arguing when she starts calling him Little Jiang, then remembers who her grandfather is supposed to be, and wisely deletes the reply. Countywide morale changes just as sharply as his territory, because Dragon Nation lords who were preparing to flee begin canceling transfers. People who expected inevitable defeat now have concrete proof that a Dragon Nation town can beat the imported cherry blossom powerhouses. Beneath Jiang Chen's land, the new town luck triggers a second reaction that only he can sense. The dragon vein reaches 5% evolution, bursts from the ground, and circles him like an excited mythical pet. Its new effect gives every hero and troop connected to his territory a 10% increase to drop rates wherever they fight. Supreme fortune on treasure chests also becomes twice as likely, improving from 1 chance in 10,000 to 2. The percentage looks tiny, but Jiang Chen is looking at the first evolution stage of something still growing with town luck. Then the betting settlement lands, delivering 238 million spirit stones to Jiang Chen from his 990,000 wager. He takes special satisfaction in realizing most of the profit came from hostile pockets that confidently bet against him. Yiya also wins, only to discover Ying Man intends to collect the half-share they jokingly agreed upon earlier. Yiya complains because the wager suddenly feels serious now that the impossible outcome actually happened, but the original split agreement is too clear to escape. Ying Man insists the pleasure comes from spending money supplied by people who confidently bet against Dragon Abyss, not from needing Yiya's share. He uses part of the new wealth for something less selfish and contacts Zhu Yeqing, who is still suffering from his forbidden technique. Jiang Chen mails him a bottle of life water first and discusses price afterward, trusting the man's conduct during the ranking. Zhu Yeqing recognizes the liquid's future value immediately and offers 10 million spirit stones without bargaining. Jiang Chen accepts because the injured lord damaged himself for his side rather than for a private grudge. He suspects Zhu Yeqing may save the medicine instead of drinking it, just so the same forbidden technique can be used again later. County chat remains occupied with Sambin's earlier promise, and Huangshan decides diplomacy requires a screenshot. Takeda, who publicly confirmed the promise, suddenly claims to know nothing, once Huangshan asks whether the ritual blade is ready. Ye Aaron and Xiao Wishang join the mockery, while even Jinba tells Sambin not to disgrace their side further. Sambin's own young vassal eventually brings him a ceremonial short sword, offering awkward assistance with the promised ritual. Sambin responds by slapping him and declaring the ranking invalid, preserving both his life and his hypocrisy. Jiang Chen is happy to let the story spread, especially when the public version credits 3 heroes instead of focusing only on him. At midnight, he turns the new fortune into military growth and visits Crystal Valley through the Anywhere door. Cynthia and the goddess warriors are still cutting through crystal monsters, making them the obvious first recipients of major upgrades. They are Jiang Chen's only extreme stat troops, designed to concentrate overwhelming power in one direction instead of balancing every attribute. He spends 55 million spirit stones and a huge amount of energy raising all 12 goddess warriors to legendary 3-star quality. The energy bill is roughly 14,750,000. Painful even after the ranking payout, because energy cannot be forged directly from spirit stones. Cynthia reports that another quality push would distort the extreme stat structure, so Jiang Chen treats the 3-star ceiling as a technical limit rather than a budget limit. Cynthia's physical stat passes 1,000 at level 20, several times beyond what Dragon 9 can reach even with epic armor. Pushing further would damage the extreme stat ratio, so Jiang Chen stops at the point where their specialization remains intact. The next morning, Yin startles him awake by sitting beside the bed and waiting silently for permission to report. She has been sitting there because Jiang Chen ordered immediate reports on major Crystal Valley discoveries. Though waking to a silent observer still sends his heart racing. Yin briefly looks flustered when he asks what she is doing, then recovers the instant the conversation returns to military information. She has discovered a crystal castle deep in the valley, Defended by level 40 creatures with ranged attacks and crowd control, Yin obeyed his earlier order and did not approach, a decision Jiang Chen praises as respect for death. Privately, his respect is equally directed toward the millions of energy required to resurrect a high-level hero. Before he can inspect the castle, Xia announces that a Hall of Reputation has appeared near her territory. Those rare buildings can vanish without warning. So Jiang Chen opens a door and arrives before he has properly finished waking up. The White Hall is already surrounded by the core group, including Ying Man, who returned from her new town for the opportunity. Each visitor receives a personalized exchange list filled with goods far better than the ordinary merchants Jiang Chen has encountered. He takes useful seeds first, then buys every silent scroll and spatial seal scroll available to him. Wheat, pumpkins, fruits, vegetables, and other basic seeds are cheap enough that Jiang Chen clears broad categories before spending reputation on rarer strategic items. The mundane purchases matter because his accelerated farm can turn ordinary agricultural stock into far more valuable harvests once the right conditions are applied. Blocking communication and teleportation is dangerous in enemy hands, which makes owning the same tools valuable for both offense and defense. Entry 588 offers something even more unusual. 2 fortune gamble tokens costing 300 reputation points each. Jiang Chen buys both immediately, remembering that he was already wondering how to steal luck directly from rival towns. Ying Man finds a legendary hero soul on her own list for 10,000 reputation and decides to save every point toward it. While they shop, Jinba Yuichi meets the Hojo triplets and discusses attacking Dragon Abyss after learning Xia owns a Dwarf King Palace. Jinba also possesses a fortune gamble token and decides to spend it immediately against Dragon Abyss. Hojo Mai is irritated because she wanted the token herself, but Jinba enjoys using it in front of her as a display of confidence. Back at the hall, Ye complains that the exchange window is closing too quickly for someone with limited reputation. Jiang Chen teases her about having nothing to spend, only for the fox to retaliate by predicting his dense personality will earn boyfriends instead of girlfriends. The joke ends when Wei Ming spots a golden light racing toward them from the western sky. Xia recognizes it first as a fortune gamble challenge, and her face changes because Dragon Abyss has only about 400 lords. Jinba commands a 1,000-person town, so almost everyone around Jiang Chen assumes the population difference decides the outcome before the game is chosen. Jiang Chen knows the defender receives the real advantage. He gets to choose among 3 randomly generated competition categories. The options are troop combat power, agriculture index, and resource gathering. Legendary 3-star goddess warriors make combat favorable, god farmer and legendary farmers make agriculture favorable, and mutated mines make gathering favorable. For once, the random system offers Jiang Chen 3 doors and everyone leads somewhere he already controls. His townspeople favor agriculture because they can at least contribute, immediately buying seeds and offering spirit stones for fertilizer. Jiang Chen selects agriculture, then learns how much confidence Jinba has attached to the challenge. Jinba stakes 3 points of town luck despite owning only 1, using the rule that allows a town to overdraft up to 2 more. Losing would push his town to negative luck, downgrading resources and suppressing rare events until the deficit is repaired. Dragon Nation lords across the county offer seeds, spirit fields, farmer tokens, and even entire specialist lords to help Dragon Abyss. Sambin 46 returns from hiding long enough to promise ritual suicide again if Jiang Chen wins this gamble too. He also opens another betting pool, which Jiang Chen values much more than the recycled threat. Jinba is not careless, however. Hundreds of cherry blossom towns begin feeding him seeds, fields, and every farming resource they can buy. Once the Hall of Reputation disappears, Jiang Chen tells his people to farm without pressure and accept whatever result comes. Xia hears the calm voice and immediately suspects he already knows something nobody else does. Yin asks the same question privately, and Jiang Chen gives his most loyal subordinate the honest answer. Confidence is 100%. He creates a 1,000 square meter pocket dimension dedicated entirely to agriculture, hidden from every public scoreboard inspection. Spiritual energy inside is concentrated to 100 times normal, while time is accelerated far beyond the outside world. 10 premium spirit fields and epic seeds cost another 30 million spirit stones, including dragon tooth rice that requires dragon energy. The dragon vein beneath his territory supplies exactly that condition without any additional infrastructure. Legendary farmers calculate that the crops normally require about 40 days, while the gamble gives Jiang Chen only 5 real days. He raises the time flow to 17 times normal, creating 85 internal days before the external deadline. The extra acceleration burns another 10 million spirit stones, but it gives the hidden farm enough time for 2 harvest cycles. His agriculture index rises from roughly 1,000 to more than 12,000 before the first crop even matures. Jinba responds publicly by revealing a score above 54,000 after 2 days, trying to break Dragon Abyss morale. Jiang Chen tells his worried allies not to ask for his private score and simply keep farming as hard as possible. With the agriculture engine running, he returns to Crystal Valley and finally approaches the level 9 castle Yin discovered. Crystal foxes, spiders, wolves, and a bat swarm attack the expedition before the group even reaches the walls. Then a woman's face roughly 50 meters across forms over the castle surface and asks why humans entered her domain. Jiang Chen recognizes the being as the Crystal Mother and becomes excited for a reason the Empress initially cannot understand. Inside her crystal mine, the Mother is effectively immortal because surrounding crystal quality continuously reinforces her. Fighting her directly would be reckless, but one passive ability makes the location far more valuable than a boss kill. Crystal animation endlessly turns nearby mineral deposits into hostile crystal creatures, creating a renewable monster supply. Jiang Chen has found an infinite training ground that can feed levels, energy, and drops without searching the wilderness every day. The Empress understands immediately, while Jiang Chen calmly leaves the Crystal Mother alive and claims the surrounding spawns instead. He also notices epic crystal maidens inside the fortress, troops whose unusual abilities may become worth negotiating for after another territory upgrade. Yin, Lihani, and the goddess warriors remain in the valley to grind while Jiang Chen returns home for the first secret harvest. 2 days later, fields of dragon tooth rice and moon's soul fruit glow inside the accelerated pocket dimension. God Farmer multiplies the harvest, producing over 1,000 bundles of rice and thousands of fruits from a single cycle. The first collection reaches roughly 1,100 bundles of dragon tooth rice and about 6,000 moon soul fruits after the 5-fold farming bonus. Several individual crops mutate into legendary quality during harvest, so the yield improves in grade as well as quantity. Some crops mutate all the way to legendary quality, proving that the spiritual concentration dragon vein affect more than growth speed. Jiang Chen eats a mutated moon soul fruit and gains 10 soul power immediately, making the crop especially valuable for spellcasters. After sampling enough fruit to forget the original purpose of the visit, he finally opens the agriculture panel. Dragon Abyss's index has reached more than 525,000, while Jinba's public score is still around 54,000. Jiang Chen is ahead by nearly 10 times, with another harvest still available before settlement. The agricultural victory is secure, but the betting pool is disappointingly small, because Cherry Blossom Lords also believe Jinba will win easily. Few people want to wager on an outcome they consider certain, so Jiang Chen needs the opposition confident enough to risk real money. He calls Huang Xian and orders his diplomatic officer to provoke them without explaining why. Huang Xian attacks their pride in county chat, calling them cowards for boasting about Jinba while refusing to place meaningful bets. Sampan takes the bait first with 100,000 spirit stones, and the pot begins growing as others follow. Jiang Chen supports his own side economically at the same time by listing enormous quantities of spirit meat on the county exchange. Dragon Nation buyers pay roughly half market price under strict purchase limits, while Cherry Blossom buyers face a price 10 times higher. When they complain, Jiang Chen's answer is pure economics. He owns the meat, so he chooses the terms. Zhu Yexing publicly explains why the purchase cap matters, preventing traders from buying cheap supplies and reselling them to the enemy. More than 500,000 units sell within an hour, strengthening allies without exposing the forge system that created Jiang Chen's greater wealth. Golden announcements then reveal the second county ranking contest, and this one is built around kill points. The contest lasts 10 days, with monster kills scoring normally and enemy player units granting 10 times as many points. Peaceful farming lords panic while war-focused lords start buying declarations and attack permits before the message even finishes. Jiang Chen sees one weakness in his own position. 400 friendly town members do not create enough targets for a kill contest. Crystal Valley solves the monster side, but his level 3 gate cannot maintain the ideal route until his territory advances again. Level 5 requires sulfur ore, a resource nobody in Dragon Abyss seems able to locate. Jiang Chen turns to the person whose exploration luck has become a reliable strategic asset and sends Chu Xia into higher-level maps with Dragon 9. She complains about being treated like a treasure-hunting rat, then finds sulfur 1 day later anyway. Jiang Chen clears the fire rhinos guarding the deposit, sends workers to mine, and upgrades the territory to level 5. Visible land expands to 120,000 square meters, matched by another 120,000 hidden inside Blessed Paradise. The Anywhere door reaches level 5 with a 500-kilometer range, finally placing Crystal Valley at the edge of permanent reach. Jiang Chen opens a stable route with the life spring on one side and the monster valley on the other. His fighters can now empty their energy, retreat through the door, heal in minutes, and return without ending the grinding cycle. Level 20 Tianyin disciples begin rotating into the valley alongside the legendary elites, multiplying kill production around the clock. The Empress worries the lower troops remain too fragile, so Jiang Chen gives her a newly forged rank technique called Ethereal Arts. Unlike the 8-9 Mystic Art, Ethereal Arts can replace their weaker method without erasing every other martial path. Entry-level mastery gives each disciple another 100 physical and 100 spirit power, while sharpening their stealth-oriented combat style. The Empress's favorability rises to 99, leaving Jiang Chen quietly curious about what the final point might unlock. Li Yin demonstrates the new system by killing a level 45 crystal fox, recharging at the life spring, and returning almost immediately. Repeated across dozens of disciples, that loop starts turning Crystal Valley into a private energy factory. Agriculture settlement arrives while the kill operation is still accelerating, and Jiang Chen's hidden index has climbed beyond 1 million. Jinba has used Luban axes to force grow extra crops, but his final result still cannot approach Jiang Chen's total. The betting pool now holds more than 80 million spirit stones on Jinba's side and barely 11 million on Dragon Abyss. Jiang Chen placed 10 million himself. Huang Xian followed with 800,000, and Ying Man recognized the setup in time to join them. Yi Ya risks 100,000, then immediately complains that she should have wagered more. Once Ying Man's suspicion confirms something is wrong. Before settlement, Jiang Chen promises every Dragon Abyss Lord 100 units of rare spirit meat if they win. His people try refusing because he already charges no town tax and offers cheap access to shared teleportation. Jinba, by contrast, charges residents a monthly fee even though his town has almost no positive luck left. At noon, the Golden Dome activates, and the system declares Dragon Abyss the winner of the fortune gamble. 3 luck points pour out of Jinba's town and into Jiang Chen's, raising Dragon Abyss to 8 total. Resources begin upgrading across the town again, while rare events appear almost immediately for several ordinary lords. Jiang Chen receives more than 80 million spirit stones from the winning side and keeps his promise by mailing meat to every resident. The reward package reaches ordinary lords who contributed almost nothing compared with Jiang Chen, which is exactly why the town's loyalty rises instead of resentment. Several residents try returning the meat because they already received discounted teleport access and pay no monthly town tax. Jiang Chen refuses the refunds. The promise was made before settlement, and winning does not make the obligation optional afterward. Within minutes, the town channel fills with reports of upgraded farms, richer mines, and resource nodes changing quality under the new luck total. One resident even celebrates because a dangerous rare boss spawned near his mine, something that would have terrified him before drop rates improved. A separate lord reports that a rare hero has appeared asking to join, turning an ordinary morning into a recruitment opportunity created by town luck. The contrast with Jinba's side becomes impossible to miss, even before anyone checks the enemy's resource panel. Dragon Abyss residents are being paid for staying. Jinba's residents are about to experience the cost of their lord's staking luck he never actually owned. Jiang Chen does not claim credit for every mutation, because the system is applying the 3 stolen luck points across all 400 surviving territories. That shared benefit is politically useful. Every personal improvement gives another ordinary lord a reason to defend Dragon Abyss's future. The lords who transferred away during the original panic now have every reason to regret abandoning the resource upgrades they could have shared. Jiang Chen has no interest in reopening the gates for anyone who fled, only because the danger looked inconvenient. The remaining population may be smaller, but it is now wealthier, more mobile, and far less likely to collapse under the next threat. Huang Xian celebrates the win by provoking Cherry Blossom chat again, while Jiang Chen monitors the system effects rather than joining every argument. He knows the real value of the gamble is not the public embarrassment or even the betting profit. It is permanent territory luck. Spirit stones can be earned again through equipment, food, or another pool, but stolen luck changes every future resource roll without additional labor. That logic is why Jiang Chen resists immediately spending his own 2 fortune gamble tokens after seeing how powerful the first transfer feels. A better target later could hold more luck than Jinba and make the same consumable token produce a much larger permanent return. For now, Dragon Abyss has enough positive luck to push the underground dragon vein into another visible stage of evolution. Jiang Chen feels the spirit creature stirring beneath the soil before the next system message even finishes appearing. Under the ground, the dragon vein evolves to 8% and raises the territory-wide drop bonus to 16%. Jinba's town falls to -2 luck, causing resource quality to drop and special opportunities to disappear instead. The punishment becomes visible almost immediately when one resident's crystal mine collapses into a sinkhole instead of producing another upgrade. Other Jinba residents start demanding refunds on the monthly town fees they paid for protection and development that negative luck is now destroying. The local channel turns into a riot, with people blaming the gamble for losses that may take weeks of ordinary labor to replace. Jinba's 3 imported noble allies are even colder, because they risked reputations and resources on a leader who just overdrafted the town's fortune. Oda tells him directly that the disaster is his responsibility rather than some unavoidable system accident. Jinba argues that winning the kill ranking could restore enough rewards to recover, giving his allies one reason not to abandon him immediately. Oda reluctantly grants one more chance. Then the group opens the ranking board and sees Dragon Abyss climbing far faster than its population should allow. Jiang Chen still has 2 fortune gamble tokens of his own, but decides to save them until a richer target accumulates more luck. The kill ranking continues in parallel, and Dragon Abyss rises from outside the top 100 into 45th place through Crystal Valley alone. Jinba's allies finally notice the climb and theorize Jiang Chen must be mass-producing Tianyin troops with gambling profits. Their theory is wrong, but Jiang Chen is happy to let them focus on troop numbers instead of an immortal crystal mother. Jinba decides player kills are the fastest counter and starts planning routes toward weaker Dragon Nation towns once his gates improve. Jiang Chen, meanwhile, walks back into Crystal Valley for something far more profitable than another monster sweep. He approaches the Crystal Mother's fortress with legendary stones in hand and asks to buy Crystal Maiden eggs. The Crystal Mother objects that the maidens are her daughters, but her attention changes the moment Jiang Chen reveals legendary Holy Crystal. Those stones can support her own evolution, so family sentiment quickly becomes a negotiation over price. They settle on 20 Holy Crystal stones for each egg, and Jiang Chen leaves with 12 Crystal Maiden eggs. A normal egg would create an epic unit, but Jiang Chen's forge can upgrade the egg itself before recruitment. 3 million spirit stones turn the first egg golden, producing what may be the first legendary Crystal Maiden any lord has ever owned. The new troop appears as a slender woman made of living crystal, perfectly loyal and almost completely emotionless. Her balanced base stats are only 240 each, unimpressive compared with Jiang Chen's more specialized legendary troops. The reason he wanted her is crystal assimilation, an ability that converts consumed crystal qualities into permanent stat changes. He feeds her a gold radiance crystal and watches carrying capacity decrease while physical power rises at a favorable conversion rate. More gold crystals transform her clear body into brilliant, metallic gold and push physical power to 880. Jiang Chen has effectively edited the unit's attribute distribution instead of accepting the balance sheet she was born with. Crystal assimilation is only one part of the package. She also controls rays storms, illusions, and the Crystal Mother's transformation technique. Jiang Chen names her Crystal 1 and takes her to the desolate highlands for a practical test against level 48 trolls. Her arms stretch into razor-thin golden blades, cutting the first troll apart before the creature understands she has moved. A second arm becomes a massive club, crystal rays petrify other targets, and transformation turns her into a 10-meter blood crystal bat. The bat form keeps Crystal 1's modified stats while adding the movement and abilities of a creature she has previously assimilated. Jiang Chen immediately sees the strategic value. One unit can become a ground bruiser, airborne scout, or specialized monster without changing loyalty. He upgrades all 12 eggs to legendary quality and begins assigning different crystal diets according to intended battlefield roles. 6 maidens receive soul-oriented materials for magic specialization, while Crystal 1 remains the squad's heavily modified physical attacker. Energy shortages prevent most of them from reaching high levels immediately, an increasingly familiar problem for Jiang Chen's oversized ambitions. Before ending the test, Jiang Chen makes Crystal 1 switch repeatedly between blade arms, heavy weapons, crystal ray, and monster forms without resting. The transformations confirm that her body is not carrying separate equipment. The crystal itself is reshaping into whatever weapon the current attack requires. That matters for long expeditions, because a Crystal Maiden cannot be disarmed in the normal sense while enough of her body remains intact. Her bloodbat form also reveals another advantage: scouting movement no human-looking troop could use without immediately exposing Jiang Chen's ownership. Jiang Chen orders the maiden to absorb samples from several crystal species, building a library of forms rather than relying on one favorite shape. Spider forms offer terrain control, wolf forms improve ground pursuit, and bat forms provide flight, plus the sonar later used for battlefield sweeps. The 2 bodyguard disciples watching the test stop treating Crystal 1 like a pretty statue once she turns a troll charge into scattered debris. Jiang Chen is more interested in the modular design than the spectacle, because each new crystal type effectively adds another tactical configuration. He divides the remaining maidens into future physical, spirit, and soul specialists instead of feeding everyone the same materials. 6 receive soul-focused crystals because range control is harder to replace than another frontline bruiser in his current army. Others keep more balanced bodies until Jiang Chen finds crystals valuable enough to justify permanent conversion of their carrying capacity. The decision preserves flexibility, since crystal assimilation cannot casually undo every stat trade once a rare material has been consumed. Crystal 1 keeps the extreme physical build, becoming the squad's experiment for how far a single edited attribute can be pushed safely. Jiang Chen also notes that legendary quality carried the Crystal Mother's transformation arts into the unit, something ordinary epic maidens should not possess. That inherited technique is the real reason the eggs justify their price, because it turns every later crystal discovery into a possible new body form. By the time the squad returns home, the legendary eggs have become another growth system nested inside Jiang Chen's larger forge economy. The only immediate limit is energy, which prevents him from leveling all 12 as aggressively as the upgrades themselves deserve. He accepts the bottleneck rather than wasting stones on inefficient shortcuts, leaving most maidens at lower levels while Crystal 1 receives priority. Once they join Crystal Valley, their ranged rays and transformation scouting fill gaps the goddess warriors and dragons were never designed to cover. He inserts the new maidens into the Crystal Valley rotation and returns to the meditation room for his own 8-9 mystic art practice. Training no longer knocks him unconscious, showing that even his absurdly difficult personal technique is becoming manageable with accelerated time. A message interrupts the session from a young woman named Gao Yu, who claims she found a blood lure in a goblin shop. Instead of auctioning it to richer lords, she offers Jiang Chen first choice because she wants to join Dragon Abyss. Gao Yu admits the luck bonus influences her decision but says she genuinely wants to fight alongside Dragon Nation lords. Jiang Chen appreciates the honesty, buys the lure at full price, and approves her transfer into town. The story is almost too clean, however, and Jiang Chen has survived too many traps to ignore that feeling. Chu Xiao offers to ask Lu Ashi for a background check, but Jiang Chen knows a professional infiltrator could pass an ordinary investigation. His answer is another building upgrade, using 8 million spirit stones on a Hall of Reputation blueprint path. The result is a mind control tower hidden inside deep space, equipped with force truth and enslave functions. At its first level, only one slave slot is available, but that is enough to test a single suspicious recruit. Over the next several days, all 300 original Tian Yin disciples finish advancing into higher-grade adepts. 54 reach level 20 and join the Crystal Valley rotation, increasing the number of fighters feeding Jiang Chen's energy economy. Crystal Maidens in Bloodbat form also scout beyond the 500-kilometer gate range, mapping neighboring wilderness without exposing human patrols. One scout finds another town, but it belongs to Dragon Nation, so Jiang Chen leaves it untouched. The only consequence is a local rumor about a terrifying 10-meter crystal bat flying over the region. Daily kill rankings soon place Old Shentown first, Hojo second, Jinba third, and Dragon Abyss 10th with more than 33 million points. The jump from outside the top 100 confirms that the infinite Crystal Valley loop is working faster every day. Ying Ying Man is leading Old Shen through an equally ruthless training operation, concentrating family portals and throwing resources at her people. She pours hero tokens and troop tokens into Shen descendants instead of relying on one personal champion to carry the score. Even their real-world game portals are moved into a single controlled location so family members can enter, receive supplies, and return to grinding with almost no wasted travel. The result resembles a private training factory more than a normal town, with resources, personnel, and routes optimized around non-stop monster kills. That logistics advantage explains why Old Shen can keep leading even while Jiang Chen's Crystal Valley operations accelerates every day. Jiang Chen respects the method because it is difficult to copy without Ying Ying Man's family resources, discipline, and willingness to spend aggressively. Zhu Yiqing sits much lower because his strongest weapon is still his own body, and one extraordinary fighter has a hard daily ceiling. 4 days remain, and Jiang Chen needs level 6 territory plus the stored blood lure if he wants to challenge first place. Level 6 requires a gem mine, so he once again contacts Chu Xia, now exploring high-level maps with several dragons. Predictably, she finds the deposit and receives legendary dragon tooth rice as payment for another impossible piece of luck. Rumors already suggest Jiang Chen owns a time-farming treasure, and the rice makes that theory even more convincing without confirming anything. He schedules a celebration dinner for the core group, but the real reason is to test Gao Yu under controlled conditions. Jiang Chen invites her 20 minutes before everyone else, giving the mind control tower a private window before witnesses arrive. Gao Yu appears exactly on time, friendly, flirtatious, and almost perfectly calibrated to lower the guard of a young male lord. Jiang Chen asks whether Gao Yu is her real name, while quietly watching the faint blue glow from her hair accessory. The accessory is mental protection equipment, a strange thing for an ordinary refugee to wear to a casual dinner. Force truth activates, and the glow strengthens, confirming that the accessory is resisting a compulsion because Gao Yu is attempting to lie. Jiang Chen keeps his tone casual and asks again, allowing the tower's stronger effect to push through the protection. Gao Yu suddenly states that her real name is Takahashi Mitsuki, Section Chief of Cherry Blossom's Plum Agency's 2nd Division. She has lived undercover inside a Dragon Nation family for 15 years and was sent specifically to infiltrate Jiang Chen's circle. Realizing what she just confessed, Takahashi attacks, but Jiang Chen triggers Enslave before she can reach him. Blue light drops the spy to her knees and replaces resistance with absolute loyalty to her new master. Her first brainwashed outburst is so extreme that Jiang Chen immediately orders her to calm down and preserve the original cover identity. Takahashi even asks to keep using the name Gao Yu in private because the cherry blossom identity she carried for years suddenly feels repulsive under the tower's loyalty rewrite. Jiang Chen refuses to let the conditioning turn her into a loud extremist. Usefulness depends on behaving exactly like the infiltrator Hojo believes she still controls. A useful mole who suddenly becomes a public fanatic would expose the operation before it produces any intelligence. Takahashi reveals Hojo Mai ordered the mission: gain trust, steal secrets, and assassinate Jiang Chen if an opening appears. Enemy analysts even chose her appearance after noticing Ye Ya repeatedly standing near Jiang Chen during his successful bets. The pattern was coincidence, but Cherry Blossom Intelligence interpreted it as a preference and built an infiltration profile around it. Jiang Chen turns their analysis into profit by ordering Takahashi to request monster lures as proof she is gaining his trust. The rest of the dinner proceeds normally, with no guest realizing the smiling new recruit is now Jiang Chen's controlled double agent. That normality is the real test of the tower. Gao Yu laughs, eats, and socializes under the same cover personality. While obeying hidden orders, Jiang Chen never needs to repeat publicly. Chu Xia's clean background report makes the disguise even stronger, because an outside city lord investigation now provides accidental credibility for the controlled spy. He distributes outstanding and rare troop tokens from outer domain loot, strong enough to help friends without revealing his highest inventory tiers. Wei Ming is too poor to pay and offers future territory shares instead, while Yi Ya immediately treats the arrangement like an investment discussion. Chu Xia quietly reports that Luashi's investigation found Gao Yu clean, and Jiang Chen thanks her without revealing how thoroughly wrong that report is. 2 days later, Takahashi intercepts 2 additional Cherry Blossom spies who try entering Dragon Abyss with valuable lures as gifts. Jiang Chen upgrades the mind control tower to level 2 and enslaves both, taking over the county's most capable hostile intelligence cells. Instead of merely blocking enemy spying, he now receives the reports those spies were supposed to send back to their own commanders. The first serious warning arrives when Takahashi reveals Muto's ninja scouts have located a Dragon Nation town and plan to attack. Spatial seal scrolls will block teleportation during the assault, making normal emergency reinforcement almost impossible. Jiang Chen cannot protect more than 100 scattered towns at once, so the warning gives him no target he can immediately defend. 2 quiet days pass before Xiao Wushang posts that Eternal Night Town has been space-sealed. Muto begins live streaming the invasion, demanding the defenders surrender heroes and troops if they want any chance to survive. Xiao Wushang refuses publicly, declaring his people would rather die standing than kneel to the attackers. The situation worsens when Jinba sends part of his 4th-rank kill force to reinforce Muto's assault. Ying Ying Man retaliates by sealing a Cherry Blossom town she discovered, threatening 10 enemy lives for every Dragon Nation casualty. The trapped Cherry Blossom Lord begs Muto to stop, but Muto calls dying in battle an honor when someone else has to pay for it. Jiang Chen then recognizes the location from an earlier Blood Crystal Bat scouting report. The mysterious town near his border, where locals spread stories about a giant flying crystal monster, is Eternal Night. Xiao Wushang is not across the county. He is close enough for Jiang Chen's next gate upgrade to reach. Jiang Chen calls him privately and says reinforcements are coming, then hangs up before Xiao Wushang can refuse the risk. The gem mine is already secured, so Jiang Chen upgrades to level 6 and expands his territory to 180,000 square meters. The Anywhere door reaches a 600-kilometer range, cutting the remaining distance to Eternal Night into a route his strike force can cross immediately. Jiang Chen assembles every hero, the legendary 3-star goddess warriors, crystal maidens, dragons, and level 20 elite troops. Xiao Wushang, unaware of the teleportation upgrade, assumes any rescue army would still need hours to cross hundreds of kilometers. He orders 600 defenders to abandon exposed bases and retreat into the Eternal Night Mountains. Their outstanding grade spatial seal lasts one day, so surviving 24 hours is the only escape condition he can see. Mudo's forces destroy isolated towers while celebrating the loot, convinced the defenders have already lost the strategic battle. Jiang Chen arrives through the anywhere door instead of marching, carrying a private army far smaller in number and vastly higher in quality. Lahani moves first toward one of the town's guarded exit portals, alone beneath a silver mask and straw hat. Several cherry blossom guards mistake the slim figure for a wandering hero and start making crude plans to recruit or harass her. One approaches within striking distance, and Lihani draws the deathless sword without saying more than necessary. A single expanding sword arc cuts through the lead man, the lords behind him, and hundreds of troops standing in the same path. Jiang Chen's dragons and crystal bats land after the bodies fall, carrying the rest of the strike force through the fog. Lahani receives orders to clear the remaining exit points, preventing enemy survivors from escaping the sealed town through ordinary routes. Jiang Chen then activates an epic silence, scroll over the entire battlefield, cutting Mudo's livestream and every external communication channel. Outside viewers immediately complain about losing the broadcast, treating an invasion like entertainment rather than questioning why it existed. Crystal Bat sonar locates the main battle far southeast, where the Eternal Night defenders have formed a last stand on a mountain. Around 100,000 elite attackers occupy the slopes below them, including 2 squads of epic sword masters. The defenders have already been fighting for roughly 20 minutes, and bodies cover the mountain where sword masters broke the first lines. A teenager on the ridge suddenly points toward a neighboring peak where 20 dwarf rocket soldiers have appeared. 8-meter spirit rockets form over their launchers, far larger than anything Xiao Wushang expected Jiang Chen to bring. Jiang Chen steps into view, gives the defenders one brief wave, then points toward the densest enemy formation. All 20 rockets launch together and climb before dropping almost vertically into the packed army below. Mori Hachiro, one of Jinba's imported nobles, looks up and finally understands Watanabe's last unfinished reference to something big and long. The answer was never torture or some hidden technique. Watanabe died staring at exactly the same type of rocket. The first volley erases roughly 10,000 enemy units and kills Mori before his realization can help anyone else. 7 million energy and more than 2 million kill points arrive from that opening strike alone. Outside Eternal Night, County Chat notices noble portraits going dark but cannot see inside the silence barrier. Dragon Nation lords fear the defenders are being massacred, while Cherry Blossom leaders start asking why their own commanders are dying instead. Xiao Wushang assumes the dwarf overload attack can only be used once because it empties the soldier's spirit power. Then each dwarf drinks life water from Jiang Chen's spring, refills completely, and begins charging a second volley. The defenders interpret the bottles as priceless emergency medicine and believe Jiang Chen is burning a fortune to save them. Jiang Chen does not correct them, because his upgraded spring produces the liquid far more cheaply than anyone outside his territory understands. Mudo survives the first blast and tries rallying his army with a speech about never retreating. The second formation of rockets appears overhead before the speech is finished, and Mudo immediately orders everyone to run downhill. Another 10,000 troops vanish under the next explosions, breaking the army's formation and confidence at the same time. Xiao Wushang asks whether his people should pursue, but Jiang Chen orders them to remain on the mountain to avoid friendly fire. Dragon 9 steps forward in human form, leaps from the cliff, and transforms into a 30-meter dragon before reaching the ground. The Eternal Night defenders erupt when the legendary dragon appears, then fall silent as 11 more rise from surrounding peaks. 12 dragons form 2 loose lines and sweep black flame across the retreating army below. Enemy swordmasters respond with combined slashes while archers and spellcasters focus the sky, badly injuring several dragons during the first pass. A mortal brew from Jiang Chen's tavern has increased the dragon's stats by 30%, making them harder to bring down than expected. After crossing the formation, the dragons withdraw just long enough to drink life water and restore the wounds completely. Dragon 9 orders the squad back in before the alcohol buff expires, treating the battle like a workplace competition over kill counts. The recovering enemy army sees wounded dragons return fully healed and loses any belief that attrition will save them. Dragon 5 lands near Xiao Wushang only to repeat Jiang Chen's instruction that the defenders should stay put. Xiao Wushang understands the tactical reason as well. Joining now would divide the player kill points Jiang Chen is earning from the rescue. Mudo escapes the mountain with tens of thousands of troops and convinces himself the dragons must finally be too damaged to continue. 11 fully restored dragons appear on the horizon and push the retreating army directly toward Jiang Chen's hidden ground force. Outside the defenders' line of sight wait the Empress, Yin, Lihani, Goddess, warriors, Crystal Maidens, and other troops Jiang Chen refuses to expose publicly. Here, there will be no surviving friendly witnesses to describe which units are stronger than the dragons. Yin points her thunder sword and kills Mudo before the trapped army can reorganize around its commander. The rest of Jiang Chen's elites attack simultaneously, using wide-area sword, lightning, and celestial techniques to tear through formations in seconds. When a goddess warrior kills a level 25 epic swordmaster almost casually, enemy survivors finally understand the dragons were not the real trump card. Ninjas switch to stealth and scatter, hoping at least one witness can reach the outside world with a warning. Jiang Chen has prepared for that exact problem with Crystal Maidens, transformed into bloodbats, and sweeping the region with sonar. He spends another 6 million energy pushing Crystal 7 to level 30 and 1600 soul power for maximum detection. Half an hour later, Crystal 7 confirms that no hostile life remains within 100 miles. Jiang Chen waits another hour anyway, unwilling to let a single escaped scout turn his hidden army into public knowledge. Only then does he return to the mountain, where Xiao Wushang bows deeply for what he believes was a 1,000-mile rescue. The Eternal Night Lords know the dragons, rockets, and one masked swordswoman appeared. They never saw the rest of Jiang Chen's force. Jiang Chen finishes the day with roughly 23 million additional kill points from the invasion force alone. When the daily ranking updates, Old Shen remains first at more than 89 million points. Dragon Abyss leaps into second at more than 82 million, gaining over 30 million in a single day. The town chat explodes, but Chu Xia immediately spreads the cover story Jiang Chen prepared before leaving. She claims a group of top Dragon Abyss warlords secretly reinforced Eternal Night and asks everyone not to discuss military details publicly. Management members expand the rumor to roughly 15 participants, and even Ye Ya performs exaggerated complaints about her supposed losses. Ying Man realizes Jiang Chen must truly border Eternal Night and worries his legendary dragons have been exposed. She has no idea that the dragons are the only major units he intentionally allowed friendly observers to see. Jinba's side watches member portraits darken and invents theories ranging from suicide artifacts to a hidden catastrophic boss. Takahashi gives Jinba the explanation Jiang Chen wants him to believe: Dragon Abyss may control a full squad of legendary dragons. Jinba accepts the theory because it explains enough of the visible destruction without revealing the far more dangerous units underneath it. Takahashi then proposes a future assassination using her own territory as the secret entry point into Dragon Abyss. Jinba finds the plan reasonable, never realizing the supposed infiltrator is asking him to organize another delivery of targets. Before leaving Eternal Night, Jiang Chen asks Xiao Wushang which direction Mudo's town should be located. Xiao Wushang lacks exact coordinates but points southwest, where falling monster levels suggest a nearby civilized territory. Jiang Chen rides Dragon 9 in that direction and spreads Crystal Maidens into a wide sonar search line. Hours later, they locate Mudo's town with its main army absent because almost that entire force has just died in Eternal Night. Jiang Chen does not attack quietly. He first posts a public warning that blood debts will be paid with blood. Mudo's town killed one of his people, so Jiang Chen announces he will erase the town that sent the invasion. A spatial seal and silent scroll cut the target off before 12 attack teams enter from different directions. Each team pairs a dragon with a Crystal Maiden scout, while Lihani controls the perimeter and escape routes. Residents hide in basements, bunkers, and underground rooms, but Crystal 7's sonar turns concealment into a temporary delay. Jiang Chen refuses pleas from people who watched and benefited from Mudo's invasion until the same war reached their own doors. By midnight, the hostile town has become empty ground filled with loot, rather than a functioning settlement. The destruction yields roughly 94 million energy, 32 million kill points, and an enormous stock of equipment and building blueprints. Among the salvaged plans are hundreds of defensive tower designs from territories that had spent weeks preparing for war against someone else. Jiang Chen keeps unusual blueprints for later upgrade tree inspection and treats ordinary duplicates as material rather than clutter. The town's storage also fills with weapons, armor, food, and personal items from lords who never expected their own bases to become the battlefield. Unlike the earlier assassination team, this settlement had full civilian infrastructure, so the volume of recovered goods is on another scale entirely. Jiang Chen's Crystal Scouts verify underground shelters twice, because missing even one hostile lord could turn the silent operation into a future intelligence leak. Crystal 7 checks buried cellars, collapsed basements, and tunnels that normal visual patrols would never find before declaring the town empty. Only after that confirmation does Jiang Chen begin spending the energy, because security matters more than immediately watching a level bar move. 12 million energy pushes Yin to level 30, where her existing techniques can finally operate from a much stronger base stat line. Another 74 million goes into the wider Tian Yin force, raising disciples who previously needed weeks of ordinary grinding. The spending looks reckless until those same disciples return to Crystal Valley and double the rate at which renewable energy starts coming back. Jiang Chen treats the raid as capital investment. Enemy troops became energy. Energy became stronger grinders, and stronger grinders will replace the energy over time. That cycle is why he is willing to empty reserves repeatedly, instead of hoarding a large number on the interface for comfort. The captured equipment also lets him avoid forging every secondary weapon personally, preserving spirit stones for upgrades only his advantage can create. Mudo's town therefore contributes to Dragon Abyss long after its final defender disappears, through both loot and the troops leveled from its energy. When ranking points update, outsiders see only the massive score jump and cannot separate which portion came from Rescue, Retaliation, or Crystal Valley. That uncertainty protects the infinite monster farm, because revealing exact sources would tell rivals what kind of target to sabotage first. Chu Xia's cover story about multiple warlords becomes even more useful once the second operation adds another impossible increase to the public total. Jiang Chen never needs the rumor to be perfectly believable. It only needs to be less revealing than the truth. The real truth is that one lord's private army has now erased a town and turned the aftermath into another wave of troop upgrades. By morning, the new disciples are already rotating through the life spring, as if the previous night's massacre were merely another production input. The next ranking update puts Dragon Abyss first at just over 104 million kill points. Old Shen follows only about 1 million behind, turning the final days into a direct contest between Jiang Chen and Ying Man. Cherry Blossom leaders finally realize Mudo's entire town has disappeared and try accusing Jiang Chen of attacking civilians. Zhu Yiqing, Huang Shen, and Ye Aaron answer by reminding them which side launched the sealed invasion first. Jinba retreats to the claim that Mudo acted alone, despite having sent his own elite reinforcements into the same battle. Jiang Chen publicly warns that he may not know every enemy town location yet, but he expects that problem to disappear soon. The threat produces the result he actually wants. Jinba stops defending Mudo and labels the operation unauthorized. Jiang Chen has no interest in a full county war that would kill the Dragon Nation lords he hopes to govern later. Erasing one hostile town and thousands of attackers creates deterrence without forcing every settlement into open conflict. Requests to join Dragon Abyss increase almost immediately, as lords with unused transfer tokens decide the supposedly dangerous town may be the safest place available. Yi Ya becomes anxious about the close betting market between Dragon Abyss and Old Shen and cannot decide which ally deserves her money. Jiang Chen suggests betting both, while the fox insists on drawing lots and trusting whatever choice appears. Ying Man visits with worse news. Hojo Mai has found a way to manufacture player kill points without attacking enemies. Hojo is buying entire Cherry Blossom Town's heroes and troops, then handing those living units to her warlords for slaughter. Chu Xia is furious because heroes and soldiers are companions with memories, not disposable score tokens. Ying Man estimates Hojo has already purchased 3 or 4 towns, enough to threaten both leading Dragon Nation scores. That estimate means thousands of living units may have been converted into ranking fuel without ever choosing to fight Dragon Abyss or Old Shen. Chu Xia's outrage is briefly interrupted. Her dwarf king Granny burps across the room and gives her an approving thumbs up. Jiang Chen notes that the old dwarf looks healthier, which in Granny's case mostly means he has managed to get drunk again. The ridiculous interruption does not change Ying Man's point. Hojo can buy volume faster than ordinary monster grinding can replace it. When Jiang Chen reveals the fortune gamble token, Ying Man blurts out a 1 billion stone offer before correcting herself to 100 million. He still refuses, because legendary equipment, hero souls, and spirit crops have already pushed his finances beyond the stage where 100 million justifies selling permanent luck leverage. The change surprises even Jiang Chen. Not long ago, that number would have dictated his entire strategy, while now a rarer strategic item matters more than cash. Jiang Chen shows his fortune gamble token, and Ying Man immediately offers an enormous price to buy it. He refuses because Hojo's accumulated luck is a future target, but promises Ying Man first opportunity if another token appears. Instead, Jiang Chen proposes financial sabotage, publicize Hojo's plan so everyone bets on her presumed victory. If the whole market piles onto Hojo, her own payout becomes tiny even if the purchased troops push her to first. Ying Man understands immediately and spreads the information through every channel she can reach. More than 50 million spirit stones rush onto Hojo's side within an hour, exactly as Jiang Chen intended. Hojo rages about broken confidentiality agreements, but thousands of participants make perfect secrecy impossible. While the betting market shifts, Jiang Chen upgrades Takahashi's blood lure into an ultimate lure for 3 million spirit stones. Blood red mist forms outside the territory and produces Catherine Ravano, a level 35 legendary 2-star vampire princess. Catherine tries seducing Jiang Chen into servitude, and the Empress responds with enough killing intent to make the invitation immediately irrelevant. The vampire princess spreads golden wings almost 10 meters wide, clearly expecting flight to make the encounter difficult for a ground-based lord. Jiang Chen's 6 soul-focused crystal maidens were built for exactly that problem, and their first volley turns both wings into rigid crystal before takeoff. Catherine tears at the coating and realizes too late that every second spent escaping gives Yin a cleaner finishing angle. The Empress's irritation at Catherine's flirting removes any possibility that Jiang Chen needs to motivate his heroes for the kill. When the boss falls, Jiang Chen inspects the Blood Holy Grail before moving to the next lure, instead of treating it like ordinary equipment. The Grail stores blood essence as a resource and converts fixed amounts into temporary vampire princes with no population requirement. A level 20 vampire prince costs only 600 stored blood points, cheap compared with the demon stock already filling Jiang Chen's warehouses. His legendary farmers processed every battlefield corpse at 5 times normal output, so the item converts old logistics work into an instant reserve army. More than 28,000 blood points fit inside after Jiang Chen pours in the stored demon essence. That is enough to call a full 12 prince formation repeatedly across future emergencies instead of spending permanent troop slots. He values the flexibility more than the current kill points, because a temporary army can be summoned exactly where a sudden invasion creates pressure. The wind lure that follows is comparatively disappointing, producing a respectable legendary drop without any strange system interaction. The Horror King makes up for it by dropping both the hero token and a high-grade soul book, 2 rewards Jiang Chen would otherwise forge separately. Each lure also arrives inside his prepared defensive radius, so the bosses never receive the initiative they would have against a normal exploring party. Jiang Chen's growing army has crossed a threshold where many legendary encounters are now scheduling problems rather than survival problems. He still refuses to waste them, because every lure also contributes kill points at a time when Hojo is buying entire towns to manufacture scores. Crystal Valley runs simultaneously while the lure team fights, letting Jiang Chen stack renewable grinding with limited boss summons instead of choosing one source. County chat spends part of the same evening arguing about whether Hojo's purchased heroes should count as willing combatants or disposable property. One Dragon Nation lord accidentally reveals that his first hero reached 100 favorability and eventually became his wife. Wei Ming immediately asks for advice, because his own hero remains stuck in the low 90s despite everything he gives her. The answer embarrasses him further when the other lord admits his hero responds better to rough treatment than constant pampering. For Jiang Chen, the exchange only reinforces why Chu Xiao reacted so strongly to Hojo's plan. Favorability proves these summoned heroes develop real relationships and preferences. The combined operation is why the final scoreboard grows faster than outsiders can explain from any single public troop type. Jiang Chen keeps the Blood Holy Grail hidden with the other strategic items, knowing a no-slot vampire army would become an obvious assassination target if exposed. Only after the last boss is processed does he return to the blueprint pile and discover the swimming pool path that will consume his next fortune. Combined with Crystal Valley, the 3 lure battles add roughly 40 million points to his final ranking push. Jiang Chen orders the grinding squads to continue through the night, knowing the Life Spring and Resurrection system remove most normal overtime risks. While his troops work, he recruits more Tianyin disciples, levels them quickly, and sorts hundreds of blueprints taken from Mudo's destroyed town. One apparently useless swimming pool blueprint contains the upgrade path Jiang Chen has wanted since the beginning. For 200 million spirit stones, that simple pool can become a legendary angel rebirth pool. The building would finally give him a reproducible source of legendary troops instead of relying only on special rewards and limited eggs. His problem is money. After recent spending, Jiang Chen has barely over 100 million stones left. The final kill ranking betting pool therefore becomes more than profit, because it can fund the troop building immediately. Ying Ying Man confirms Hojo purchased 4 towns' forces for slaughter, committing enormous wealth to the last scoring push. Jiang Chen still believes the lures in Crystal Valley have created a lead those purchased troops cannot erase. In the final seconds, he wagers 100 million spirit stones on Dragon Abyss, risking nearly every liquid stone he owns. The locked pool holds more than 630 million stones, with Hojo receiving the largest share of public bets. Dragon Abyss has far less money behind it, giving Jiang Chen odds above 5 to 1 if his calculation is correct. Ying Man's information campaign has worked perfectly, because the crowd has diluted Hojo's potential return while leaving Jiang Chen's side expensive to oppose. Golden rankings appear, and Dragon Abyss takes first with more than 146 million kill points. Hojo finishes second despite buying 4 full towns of living troops, while Old Shen falls to third. Jiang Chen wins by more than 20 million points, large enough that the result cannot be blamed on one lucky final battle. Ninth place creates another familiar system message. Mudo's town earned a stat reward even though Mudo himself is dead. Because the town lord died, those extra stats transfer to the first place winner, just as Watanabe's reward did earlier. Jiang Chen receives 60 total points to every stat from his own first-place reward and the transferred bonus. His combat rating rises to 472 stars at level 20, already beyond many legendary heroes of similar level. Then the betting settlement returns 517 million spirit stones to him, turning the near-total wager into a massive victory. With the market concentrated on Hojo, Jiang Chen captures most of the winning side pool and instantly solves the Angel Rebirth pool budget. Dragon Abyss's luck reaches 13 points, triggering a territorial phenomenon far larger than another mind mutation. The physical town space expands by roughly 100 kilometers in diameter, shifting coordinates and creating new terrain between existing territories. Fresh deposits appear during the expansion, including a sulfur mine that would have been a major bottleneck only days earlier. Legends claim extremely lucky lord territories eventually grow into complete internal worlds, and Jiang Chen has begun seeing the first stage personally. Ying Man recognizes the financial trick behind her propaganda campaign and complains that Jiang Chen used her to rob the betting pool. He sends 3 epic weapons as thanks. She returns 10 million spirit stones because her pride refuses to accept the gift for free. Yi Yao watches the exchange and announces that both of them are conducting shady deals directly in public chat. Hojo and Jinba have no energy left for insults, leaving Huangxian disappointed by the sudden lack of diplomatic targets. Jiang Chen's exhausted Crystal Valley troops return after roughly 30 hours of continuous combat and receive a full legendary feast. He also opens unrestricted access to the accelerated training rooms, rewarding ordinary disciples along with the elite units who won the ranking. Wei Ming arrives separately looking almost sick from sleeping only a few hours each night while grinding with a rare hero. Jiang Chen hands him a Vampire Duke troop token and offers it as a long-term loan rather than a sale. Wei Ming knows he cannot repay the value soon, so he offers 51% of his territory shares as collateral and commitment. Jiang Chen accepts without taking operational control, letting Wei Ming continue management while formally tying the territory to his future network. The moment Wei Ming leaves, Jiang Chen uses one of his own fortune gamble tokens and targets Hojo Town. Hojo has just lost the ranking, lost the betting pool, and spent enormous money buying troops that no longer exist. Now Jiang Chen wants all 6 of the town's remaining luck points as well. The Golden Challenge connects the towns, and Dragon Abyss residents wake from badly needed sleep to realize they are the attackers this time. Hojo's 3 identical sisters are furious enough about the prior loss that they have already damaged their own headquarters. Their category options are kill points, resource gathering, and troop combat power, with Dragon Abyss unable to choose because it initiated the challenge. Hojo rejects kill points after assuming Shin must own a hidden monster dungeon. They also reject troop combat because producing disposable units would damage preparation for the approaching county election. Resource gathering appears safest, because 1,000 lords should logically outmine a town with only 400. The sisters select resource gathering and then discover Jiang Chen has staked the maximum 6 luck points against all 6 of theirs. Fear replaces confidence immediately, because losing would strip the town of every positive luck point at once. Hojo orders total mobilization, chests, farmers, quarries, and every available worker must produce resources until settlement. Jiang Chen's original plan does not require a dungeon at all. Building the Angel Rebirth pool needs huge quantities of legendary construction material, and every forged material counts toward resource gathering points. He can therefore score simply by manufacturing supplies he already intended to consume on the troop building. County chat assumes he must have discovered some special gathering zone, but Jiang Chen remains silent and lets them guess. Chu Xia calls with the kind of news that makes even his prepared plan look unnecessarily cautious. The town expansion created a glowing dungeon entrance inside the Dwarf Mountains, only a few kilometers from her Dwarf King Palace. It is a dedicated resource dungeon, exactly the asset everyone has been speculating about, despite Jiang Chen not needing one. Jiang Chen enters with dragons and other elites, while Chu Xia waits outside to see how difficult the first run will be. The interior is a mine tunnel patrolled by level 25 dwarf miners and guarded deeper inside by stronger combat units. Jiang Chen orders a direct clear, and the squad reaches the boss chamber in roughly 10 minutes. Dragon 9 crushes the level 30 outstanding mountain guardian before the fight can become complicated. One run produces mithril, mica, and thousands of resource units worth around 130,000 points. With a daily town-wide cap of 1,000 runs, the dungeon alone can generate hundreds of millions before settlement. Jiang Chen puts Chu Xia in charge of scheduling access, since she discovered the entrance and understands the local terrain. She refuses personal profit from entrance fees and redirects the money into town funds instead. Within an hour, Dragon Abyss passes Hojo's public score, confirming the dungeon can support the challenge even without Jiang Chen's forging plan. News of the resource dungeon reaches the county almost immediately because too many Dragon Abyss lords begin entering the same mountain portal to conceal it. Outsiders assume the discovery explains Jiang Chen's confidence, never realizing the dungeon appeared only after he had already challenged Hojo with another plan. The Hojo sisters argue over their earlier category choice once they see the first spike, with one insisting troop combat would have been safer. That disagreement never becomes surrender. The sisters instead order common stone, low-grade wood, and every worthless deposit harvested for pure scoreboard volume. Dragon Abyss responds differently, because Chu Xia organizes timed dungeon slots, so residents can keep normal development running between resource runs. Jiang Chen lets her control the schedule, rather than turning the entrance into a personal monopoly, which keeps the town's contribution broad. Some lords offer entrance fees voluntarily, but Chu Xia sends the income into public funds instead of keeping the reward for discovering the portal. The gesture reinforces why Jiang Chen trusts her with rare assets despite constantly joking that she attracts bosses like a magnet. Hojo does not surrender. All three sisters order 24-hour shifts even in low-value common quarries. Their people sacrifice training and development for raw volume, gradually reducing the difference despite the dungeon advantage. By the next morning, Dragon Abyss leads by roughly 3.5 billion to 2.9 billion resource points. Ying Man visits for breakfast and reports that Hojo is mining materials it may never use purely to keep the scoreboard close. Wei Ming proposes matching their effort, refusing to let Jiang Chen personally carry another town-wide event. Yi Ya and the others agree, telling Jiang to focus on leveling while they push the dungeon harder. The offer touches him more than the score, because these are the same people who stayed when half the original town fled. Chu Xia even suggests overworking the dungeon, despite the risk of collapsing it early if that guarantees enough. Jiang Chen ends the debate by saying he will think, then returns to deep space without explaining the real resource plan. He finally spends 200 million spirit stones to forge the swimming pool blueprint into the Angel Rebirth Pool. Legendary Spirit Stone, Star Moon Gold, Divine Wood, and other materials begin appearing one after another through the forge. Every crafted component adds resource points, so Dragon Abyss's scoreboard starts climbing in jumps no normal mine could produce. 100 million points becomes 200 million, then 300 million, while County Chat tries explaining the impossible acceleration. Jiang Chen had planned to let Hojo struggle longer for amusement, but his people's willingness to sacrifice their own growth changes his mind. There is no reason to make loyal residents suffer when he can end the contest by spending money already budgeted for construction. More than 500 million resource points appear within an hour, convincing outsiders the hidden dungeon must be much larger than reported. Even Dragon Abyss's management group cannot explain how the total grows so fast because nobody sees the legendary materials forming inside deep space. In Hojo Town, Mai destroys part of the recently repaired headquarters again and sends Jinba a message about accelerating their dragon-slaying assassination plan. Kashang Chen receives enough intelligence through his controlled spies to know hostile elites are preparing another attempt. He is not concerned. Takahashi's role in that plan means the enemy is effectively scheduling its own ambush. The Angel Rebirth Pool finishes as a broad white jade basin filled with luminous holy water. A six-winged female angel statue rises from the center, marking the building as something far beyond normal rare troop structures. The pool can recruit two-winged epic lower angels and four-winged legendary mid-tier angels, with future evolution towards six-winged mythical seraphim. Their equipment grows with them, their resurrection preserves memory, and recruitment can be filtered by gender. Jiang Chen chooses 12 Virtue Angels, 12 Power Angels, and 2 Dominion Angels, all female. The first Virtue Angel rises from the pool with golden hair, 4 white wings, and armor formed as part of her body-linked equipment. Her name is Eve, and at level 1 she already measures around 28 combat stars once Yin's B rank Angel Command bonus is applied. That starting point rivals heroes who need many more levels to become useful, Before Jiang Chen spends a single additional energy point on angel training, she immediately senses an angel hero with B-rank command authority already serving in the territory. Jiang Chen confirms the existence of Yin and continues recruiting until all 26 new angels have emerged. Virtue angels specialize in magical control, power angels emphasize physical combat, and the two Dominion angels exist to command squads. The Dominion angels possess mental links for instant orders, damage sharing, and a Holy Scepter ability that improves tactical coordination. Their command package turns the entire angel group into a networked battlefield unit rather than 26 individuals waiting for instructions. Jiang Chen spends more than 11 million energy raising them to level 13 before his reserves finally empty again. Angels consume more leveling energy than Tianyin disciples. Another reminder that legendary quality keeps send bills after recruitment. He sends the new squad through the Anywhere door to Crystal Valley, where Yin is waiting on the far side. Yin freezes when she sees four winged angels marching out in formation and realizes Jiang Chen now owns an actual angel troop building. Dominion Angel Hathaway thanks Yin for the command bonus. Her hero authority already provides their species. The shared origin creates an instant bond, and Yin begins showing the new recruits around with more enthusiasm than Jiang Chen expected. A favorability notice calls his decision considerate, which Jiang Chen accepts despite knowing aesthetics influenced his recruitment choices too. 2 days later, Yin reports another discovery south of Crystal Valley, a level 10 goblin territory built around steam technology. A massive river runs beside the fortress, finally giving Jiang Chen the water access needed for a legendary shipyard blueprint he has stored for weeks. The Goblin City is stronger than Crystal Castle, so Jiang Chen delays the attack until the Angel Squad gains more practical battle experience. During that wait, Angels grind mountain eagles, while Dominion commanders coordinate multiple squads through their mental links. Hathaway can distribute several battlefield orders at once, without shouting, letting Power Angels intercept dives while Virtue Angels prepare control effects for the next wave. Damage link abilities keep individual injuries from instantly breaking formation, and the Holy Command structure lets the squad adjust faster than a human officer could speak. Power Angels cut level 45 birds apart in close combat while Virtue Angels disable targets before they can break formation. When the force later crosses a 1,000-meter peak, the river finally appears below like a silver road several kilometers wide. Steam warships patrol the water, airships rise from metal towers, and mech soldiers move through a fortified goblin city on the bank. Jiang Chen marks the location for conquest, then receives the fortune gamble result before launching the operation. Dragon Abyss wins the resource challenge and takes all 6 of Hojo's luck points. Total town luck reaches 19, causing another round of space expansion and resource improvement across Jiang Chen's growing domain. Zhu Yixing notes that one lord has personally accumulated more luck than many entire factions expected to see during this stage. A cherry blossom lord named Sharada tries threatening Dragon Nation anyway, claiming population numbers will decide the future county lord election. Jiang Chen answers without arguing and posts a screenshot of his remaining fortune gamble token. Xiao Wushang immediately suggests using it to drain Sharada's luck next, and the hostile lord starts deleting his earlier messages. Within seconds, Sharada apologizes politely and blames alcohol for the threat. Jiang Chen has reached the point where merely displaying a token can end an argument before any gamble begins. Ying Ying Man asks for the token again, but Jiang Chen proposes a broader alliance strategy instead. If friendly towns reach level 6 and build embassies, they can coordinate future gambles rather than fighting every challenge alone. With that political plan forming, Jiang Chen returns to the Goblin Fortress and lands his troops roughly 2 kilometers from the walls. Alarm sirens activate immediately, followed by the usual arrogant warning ordering humans, angels, and dragons away from Goblin territory. Goblin weapons outrange dwarf rockets, so Jiang Chen leaves the rocket squad out of this assault, rather than sacrificing them for spectacle. 12 crystal maidens transform into tiny burrowing crystal creatures and enter the city underground before the frontal battle begins. Internal alarms erupt minutes later as crystal blades cut through defenders from places the goblins believed were secure. Dragons and angels attack from the air while Tianyin fighters press the walls, forcing the fortress to split attention in every direction. Level 10 defenses include cannons, rotating blade machines, and other technology Jiang Chen has never faced before. One Tianyin disciple is cut in half by a spinning weapon, but the life spring turns what would be permanent loss into resurrection cost. Cynthia reaches the wall and punches through the cockpit of a 4-meter mech before challenging a level 52 goblin hero. The golden mech matches her briefly, giving Cynthia one of the few fights strong enough to make her visibly enjoy the resistance. Then the goblin headquarters unfolds and reconstructs itself into a 50-meter guardian machine carrying a building-sized sword. Its combat power exceeds 1,700 stars, despite being only epic 2-star quality, making the fortress's final defense legitimately dangerous. The machine swings at Dragon 9, but Yin intercepts the giant blade with her much smaller lightning sword and holds it in place. Yin claims the boss for herself, finally finding an opponent strong enough to justify leaving routine monster grinding behind. The Goblin Lord makes the fatal social mistake of asking Yin to abandon Jiang Chen and become his queen. Her hatred of arrogant men turns the attempted recruitment into a personal reason to end the fight quickly. While Yin keeps the Guardian occupied, Crystal Maidens and ground troops finish destroying the remaining Goblin army. The Goblin Lord tries surrendering once his forces collapse, even offering to become Jiang Chen's vassal. Yin has no interest in his sudden loyalty after the failed recruitment and escape attempt. Crystal rays pin the Guardian near the river, while Yin forms a massive energy blade overhead. The strike splits the machine and vaporizes the Goblin Lord inside, ending the level 10 territory without another negotiation. The boss drops Spirit Stones, an epic chest, and an unfamiliar epic technology crystal. Jiang Chen recognizes that Goblin technology is famous across the wider world, making the crystal more interesting than the ordinary loot pile. Casualties remain limited to resurrected troops, while the real prize is an intact riverfront territory with industrial infrastructure. Jiang Chen claims the land and notices the technology crystal can accelerate research processes that ordinary combat units cannot use efficiently. Yin, however, has a divine body cultivation path that treats advanced technology as a direct training resource. Jiang Chen spends 19 million spirit stones upgrading the epic crystal to legendary quality and tosses it to her. Yin absorbs it, and galaxies of light move across her body before collapsing inward as the technique reaches proficient level. Divine Body rises from a 100 stat beginner bonus to 300 points across every attribute. Her combat power jumps by roughly 200 stars in one step, making Yin the strongest individual unit under Jiang Chen's command. Jiang Chen checks his own slower cultivation progress, decides comparison will only hurt, and turns toward the river instead. The conquered territory includes a rare steam shipyard, useful by ordinary standards and completely unnecessary for his plans. He demolishes it, recovering materials, and even gaining a steam shipyard blueprint from the destruction. Jiang Chen already owns something better, the legendary Dark Dock blueprint dropped by the Ghost Leviathan earlier in his journey. Prepared materials let him construct the 100-meter legendary shipyard immediately on the natural harbor. He orders one ghost mothership, consuming another massive pile of materials and spirit stones before the dock begins assembling it. By evening, a black warship 200 meters long settles onto the river with armor, weapons, and systems beyond normal county technology. Its main cannon reaches 1,500 energy power, supported by 24 secondary cannons and 48 stored ghost fighters. The secondary batteries each reach roughly 600 power, giving the ship enough distributed fire to fight swarms without wasting the main cannon on every target. Its listed speed reaches around 80 knots before concealment or underwater movement is considered, making the massive hull far less sluggish than its size suggests. Heavy armor, a powerful shield, invisibility, underwater travel, and high speed make the vessel closer to a mobile fortress than a ship. When Jiang Chen steps aboard, a female holographic ship spirit appears with the confidence of a pirate captain. She introduces herself as Shalmi and explains that her appearance was selected after observing Jiang Chen's obvious aesthetic preferences. Shalmi offers to transform into a muscular male captain instead, an option Jiang Chen rejects before she can finish the alternative name. The interior contains combat decks, fighter bays, bedroom, and a full restaurant, making long-range exploration comfortable as well as lethal. Jiang Chen assigns the Angel Squad to take the mothership downstream and map whatever lies beyond the known river. Hathaway and Shalmi receive one strict order: if monster levels rise towards 60, turn around instead of gambling the entire expedition. Before leaving, Shalmi walks Jiang Chen through the command deck, where the ship spirit can control basic navigation even without a mortal captain at every station. The fighter bay stores 48 ghost aircraft that can launch independently, scout beyond visual range, and return beneath the mothership's concealment field. Crew quarters are closer to a luxury hotel than a military transport, which matters on voyages too long for repeated anywhere door resupply. A full restaurant and comfortable cabins also keep Angel crews operating without the morale problems that ordinary improvised exploration ships would face. Jiang Chen checks the underwater system personally, confirming the hull can submerge instead of remaining trapped on the surface whenever a stronger sea monster appears. The invisibility field gives him another escape option, though he warns Shalmi not to treat stealth as permission to provoke unknown high-level enemies. Hathaway accepts operational command of the Angels while Shalmi controls the ship itself, dividing battlefield decisions from navigation and mechanical systems. Their responsibilities fit naturally because Dominion Angels can relay orders through mental links faster than spoken commands across a 200-meter vessel. Jiang Chen limits the first mission to reconnaissance, resource mapping, and monster kills safe enough to retreat from if the level curve rises sharply. He has enough money to replace materials eventually, but rebuilding a legendary ship after careless loss would still stall every other project. The vessel moves downstream without smoke or engine roar, a black shape slipping past the conquered goblin banks before disappearing around the river bends. For several hours, reports show ordinary monster kills and new map sections rather than anything dramatic. Jiang Chen initially decides one mothership is sufficient, because dock upgrades limit ship growth and a second hull would duplicate an expensive capability. He even lets his attention drift toward the Level 7 tailor shop and the clothing blueprints waiting uselessly in storage. That minor plan lasts until Xiaomi reports Sunset Bay, where the widening river finally opens beyond Qingyang County. Beyond the county boundary, open water stretches toward the horizon with visible resources and no nearby lord competing for them. The crew crosses the political boundary without needing another territory upgrade, proving the ship can extend Jiang Chen's practical reach far beyond 600 kilometers. No friendly town controls the coast beyond them, so every resource marker the Angels record is uncontested information rather than a diplomatic problem. The first sea serpent kill looks routine, until the reward line includes a new item category alongside energy and spirit stones. The combat log records 52 energy, 10 spirit stones, and 4 election votes from that single sea serpent. The vote description identifies each item as a ballot for the future county leader, even though the formal election event has not opened yet. Jiang Chen had expected some giant battle royale, so discovering that leadership may be decided through collected votes feels almost offensively civilized. His old concern returns immediately. Dragon Nation has fewer lords in the county, and allies such as Ying Ying Man have their own interests rather than automatic loyalty. Then he notices the timing advantage. The election is still at least 10 days away, while his first mothership is already farming outside the county border. Higher-level monsters also improve the ballot reward, with every additional 5 levels adding another vote before his Dragon Vein drop bonus is considered. The naval expedition has therefore found both the ballot source and the scaling rule before most rivals have even reached open water. That single unexpected vote turns the naval experiment into an election strategy before the expedition has even completed its first day. Jiang Chen had prepared for a violent succession battle and is mildly offended to learn the decisive weapon may be democracy. Dragon Nation is numerically outnumbered, and neither Ying Ying Man nor Zhu Yexing is obligated to surrender political ambition for his convenience. The rule has one exploitable detail. Only monsters outside the county appear to drop these early vote items. Jiang Chen already owns a legendary invisible warship hunting beyond the boundary, while most lords are still searching for routes out. Higher-level monsters drop more votes, and his Dragon Vein increases drop chances for every unit tied to Dragon Abyss. If popularity becomes inconvenient, Jiang Chen can simply farm enough physical ballots to vote for himself thousands of times. He orders a second ghost mothership and spends more than 2 million energy raising fresh angel recruits to level 20 for naval duty. The combination sounds ridiculous even to him. Invisible warships harvesting democratic votes from sea monsters before campaigning has officially started. Takahashi interrupts the election planning with intelligence that matters much sooner than ballots. Her report says the raid will happen that very night, removing any reason for Jiang Chen to postpone preparations until the naval expedition returns. The enemy believes darkness, spatial sealing, and Takahashi's trusted gate will finally solve the problem that direct attacks and ranking pressure failed to solve. The strike force comes from a lord tradition Jiang Chen recognizes from older knowledge, one created by Cherry Blossom's legendary ruler Su Fu. Su Fu was originally associated with the First Emperor's era before founding a completely different path through deals with hostile spiritual beings. Whatever the history, the modern Shikigami Lord method is brutally practical. Emotional bonds are treated as fuel rather than something worth protecting. A lord can gain more resentment from killing someone deeply loyal than from slaughtering strangers. So the cultivation path rewards betrayal at its most personal level. Heroes are especially valuable sacrifices because their favorability records years of trust, victories, and shared danger before that bond is deliberately destroyed. Farmers, soldiers, and attendants are used too, turning a functioning territory into raw material for one transformed fighter. The summoned spirit absorbs that grief and blood before merging with the Lord, producing bodies that may exceed the original human's rank by an absurd margin. Weak Shikigami lords become monstrous canine or reptilian hybrids, while the strongest county reserves can briefly resemble legendary one-star combatants. The cost is irreversible, because the population that created the power no longer exists after the ritual. Jiang Chen finds the method disgusting, but tactically it creates a target profile his system loves. Many lives compressed into one enormous energy reward. Cherry Blossom Command chooses 40 practitioners, because ordinary epic troops failed against Jiang Chen's public dragons and rocket defenses. They assume sacrificial fusion will finally provide enough high-end bodies to overwhelm legendary creatures through numbers. The planners also bring space-sealing items and specialized sword squads, believing raw Shikigami power can overwhelm Jiang Chen's reported dragons. That means the force is not merely large, it is optimized against a version of Dragon Abyss Jiang Chen wants the enemy to believe exists. Nobody at headquarters knows goddess warriors are stronger than the dragons, or that crystal maidens can scout through forms their detection plans do not consider. Takahashi's staging territory becomes the perfect trap precisely because it looks independent from Jiang Chen and has hosted no public military structures. Life detection scans find no hidden army within 30 kilometers, giving the commanders one final confirmation before crossing. The scan is accurate. Jiang Chen's forces are not there yet because 4 anywhere doors can bring them in only after the entire enemy column commits. Waiting preserves the illusion through the last possible second and prevents a cautious commander from canceling after seeing one suspicious legendary aura. By the time Shinba realizes why Takahashi insisted everyone cross first, retreat already depends on gates she no longer intends to open. Cherry Blossom Military Command has approved a night raid involving 20 epic squads, 100 outstanding squads, and 40 Shikigami lords. Takahashi plays the worried infiltrator and asks whether that force is really enough for a target that keeps revealing new surprises. Shinba checks with headquarters and returns with the answer that all 40 Shikigami lords available in Qingyang County have been committed. The statement tells Jiang Chen exactly how valuable this ambush can become. The enemy is concentrating an entire specialized county reserve into one doorway he controls. Rather than warn Takahashi to flee, Shinba promises that the reserve will crush whatever hidden cards Jiang Chen still possesses. All of them will enter through Takahashi's territory, because enemy leadership still believes she is their successful deep cover agent. One Shikigami ritual begins in a distant hostile territory as a lord kills the very population that trusted him. Blood and resentment create a summoning circle, a demonic hound appears, and the surviving lord fuses into a 4-meter hybrid body. Similar transformations happen across the strike force before the units gather for what they believe will be Jiang Chen's execution. The invasion includes flying mounts, epic swordmasters, specialized warlords, and the 40 demonic lords as its centerpiece. Shinba and the military heir Koizumi Shiro review life detection scans and conclude the destination around Takahashi looks completely normal. One by one, the attackers cross her teleport gate, unaware that Jiang Chen deliberately left no visible army inside the staging territory. Takahashi greets the commanders warmly and waits until the last unit has entered before closing the route behind them. She activates a silent scroll immediately, which makes Shinba ask why communications are being blocked before reaching Dragon Abyss. Takahashi answers by telling him this is the real battlefield. Koizumi understands the betrayal first and runs toward the closed gate, but 4 enormous anywhere doors open around the territory instead. Drag angels, goddess warriors, crystal maidens, mountain troops, and Tianyin fighters pour in from all directions. Shinba recognizes the dragons and angels, while Koizumi screams that Takahashi has doomed her own family by betraying Cherry Blossom Command. Brainwashed loyalty makes her response wildly enthusiastic, forcing Jiang Chen's earlier order to act normal into a losing battle with the tower's conditioning. Koizumi ends the argument by killing Takahashi's visible body and ordering the Shikigami lords forward before the encirclement tightens. He also tells Shinba to use a spatial seal, believing that trapping Jiang Chen prevents escape or outside reinforcements. From above on Dragon 9, Jiang Chen appreciates the free seal, because he was prepared to spend one of his own. The strongest fused attacker charges Cynthia with scales supposed to rival dragon armor. Cynthia's spear punches through the defense in one thrust, and the first celebrated Shikigami lord dies before the formation can support him. Koizumi assumes Cynthia must be the famous empress and tells everyone not to panic over one exceptional woman. A second Shikigami lord dies almost immediately to another goddess warrior, followed by a third and a fourth in rapid succession. Shinba finally realizes several of Jiang Chen's ordinary-looking women are legendary troops stronger than the dragons used in public battles. Epic sword masters join the remaining demon lords, trying to create enough overlapping pressures to break the goddess warriors. Tianyin disciples enter as well, using precise celestial sword techniques rather than the brute force dominating the center. Even the youngest serious fighter can chain multiple lethal strikes before a Shikigami lord adapts to the attack pattern. Jiang Chen watches from the sky while kill notices deliver nearly 2 million energy for some fused lords. Their horrific cultivation method has concentrated entire populations into single high-value bodies, making each death absurdly profitable to his system. The Empress and Li Hani remain near Jiang Chen, almost bored because the ground army is handling the supposedly elite invasion alone. The Empress complains that she was pulled from bed for an enemy force that cannot even reach her position. Jiang Chen assures them another assignment will follow, because he has no intention of wasting the surviving enemy leadership. Roughly 10 minutes after the fight begins, every Shikigami lord and every elite swordmaster is dead. Only a few ordinary enemy lords remain standing inside the encirclement with no troops left to command. Jiang Chen lands on Dragon 9 and welcomes them to the territory they were so confident about invading. Shinba immediately kneels and offers his service, proving his loyalty to the Empire lasted exactly as long as military superiority did. Koizumi calls him a traitor, then drops to his own knees when Jiang Chen casually orders him to kill Shinba. Koizumi tries invoking his general grandfather as a threat, creating the strange sight of a kneeling prisoner warning the winner about consequences. Jiang Chen does not execute the survivors together. He selects 3 at a time for what appears to be private interrogation. The first group crosses an anywhere door into Dragon Abyss and enters the upgraded mind control tower's range. Compulsion rewrites their loyalty before they understand what the hidden building is doing. Jiang Chen orders them to transfer money, equipment, blueprints, food, and every useful item they control. Once the accounts are empty, the enslaved lords kill themselves on command, freeing the tower slots for the next group. New prisoners enter believing earlier groups are still being questioned, only to be controlled before the bodies can reveal the pattern. Batch after batch empties its resources into Jiang Chen's inventory and removes itself from the tower's limited capacity. The controlled executions also solve a logistical problem. Jiang Chen never needs enough prison space to hold dozens of hostile lords through a long interrogation. Every batch provides its own authentication by transferring resources only the real account owner could access, reducing the chance of planted false inventory. Blueprints are especially valuable because the failed raid brought designs from many specialized lord paths that Jiang Chen has never developed personally. Food, equipment, and ordinary materials are less exciting individually but add up across dozens of fully developed attackers. The prisoners also reveal how expensive the operation was for Cherry Blossom Command before their controlled deaths remove the intelligence risk. The raiders prepared around the dragons, Takahashi reported, which confirms her false intelligence shaped how commanders imagined Jiang Chen's defenses. That focus leaves their commanders mentally unprepared when goddess warriors and crystal maidens prove far more dangerous than the public dragons. Jiang Chen therefore preserves the dragon rumor instead of correcting it, turning every future anti-dragon investment into wasted hostile resources. Shinba's wealth is tempting enough that Jiang Chen briefly calculates how much ransom a powerful family might pay for him alive. He rejects the idea because returning a mind-controlled heir to experts is the fastest way to expose the mind control tower's most valuable secret. Koizumi presents the same problem on a smaller scale. His grandfather's rank makes any extended manipulation too dangerous for the current tower level. Cash taken now is safer than 10 times more wealth attached to a future investigation Jiang Chen cannot control. The nearly 100 million energy earned from the raid may actually be more important than the spirit stones. Energy is the one resource his forged fortune cannot simply replace, and legendary troops keep consuming it faster than Crystal Valley alone can supply. A single night has funded levels that would otherwise require days of non-stop monster grinding. Jiang Chen keeps 3 strategic prisoners only long enough to execute the Hojo deception, because their recognized identities make the follow-up believable. Shinba's call works precisely because Hojo expects greed and victory from him, not because the story itself is especially sophisticated. The promise of 3 legendary items is enough to make Mai open a gate that no military assault could force from outside. Jiang Chen's strongest operations increasingly look less like battles and more like using enemy assumptions to make defensive systems irrelevant. Once Hojo Mai crosses the line of trust, the Empress needs only seconds to turn that political mistake into physical capture. The method is horrifyingly efficient, and it prevents any surviving prisoner from reporting how the hidden security system works. Ordinary lords contribute roughly 150 million spirit stones before Shinba and Koizumi are processed separately. Shinba alone holds around 60 million stones, while Koizumi adds another 15 million to the haul. Jiang Chen refuses the tempting idea of sending Shinba home to collect family money because stronger experts could detect and break the mind control. Keeping the secret is worth more than squeezing another payment from a household with dangerous connections. The raid leaves Jiang Chen with hundreds of millions in reserve and almost 100 million new energy points. Those resources can fund angel squads, more motherships, and whatever the county election requires next. Jiang Chen still has one final use for Shinba before disposing of the mission commander. Under control, Shinba video calls Hojo Mai and claims the assassination succeeded completely. Hojo celebrates and accepts his invitation to share captured legendary equipment, allowing greed to overpower a brief moment of suspicion. She opens a teleport gate and receives Shinba, Koizumi, and disguised members of Jiang Chen's strongest inner group. Once everyone is positioned, Shinba activates a silent scroll, and Yin releases enough aura to force nearby soldiers backward. The Empress crosses roughly 50 meters through cloud shadow, kills two sword masters blocking the route, grabs Hojo, and returns through the gate. The abduction takes only seconds, leaving Hojo's troops shouting after a lord who has already entered the mind control tower. Minutes later, Mai walks calmly back into her territory and orders everyone to stand down. Her new loyalty sounds serene rather than forced, making the troops obey, while wondering what conversation could have changed her so completely. Mai then invites her sisters Ye and Mei to receive the same revelation. Within minutes, all three Hojo sisters are kneeling before Jiang Chen as completely controlled moles. A night that began with their faction trying to assassinate him ends with Jiang Chen controlling its strongest local spy network and three noble lords. He orders the sisters to act normally, develop their territories, avoid returning to Blue Star, and feed him intelligence rather than seeking dramatic sabotage. Their families may contain experts capable of breaking the conditioning, so unnecessary visits outside the game world would create unacceptable risk. The next morning, Cherry Blossom chat fills with questions about missing lords who supposedly left on an ordinary secret operation. Most participants are dead, and the surviving insiders are controlled, leaving military command unable to explain the failure publicly. Ying Man sends Jiang Chen a brief message saying the outcome is impressive, suggesting her own intelligence network detected fragments without learning the mechanism. Hojo Mai reports that Cherry Blossom Command has lost all 40 Shikigami lords assigned to Qingyang County. Nobody knows whether Takahashi was always a traitor, whether Dragon Abyss prepared an ambush, or how many hidden forces Jiang Chen used. The uncertainty becomes a stronger defense than another wall, because enemy commanders are now afraid to test the depth of his territory directly. With immediate raids halted, Jiang Chen returns attention to the ocean, election votes, and territory development. Hojo even supplies two clothing blueprints called Summer Breeze and Pink Temptation, which Jiang Chen stores for the tailor shop he has not unlocked yet. A few days later, he upgrades the Lord's Mansion to level 7 and expands his territory to roughly 250,000 square meters. Level 7 unlocks a night hall, a tailor shop, another hero slot, and troop options normal lords consider major milestones. For ordinary territories, this stage is where racial troop lines finally begin reaching rare quality instead of remaining mostly common development pieces. Dwarf settlements can field Longbeard warriors, elves gain sharpshooters, seafolk unlock tiger shark warriors, and human lords gain heavy cavalry. Those would be headline upgrades almost anywhere else, but Jiang Chen's regular forces have already moved so far past rare rank that the list barely slows him down. The fourth hero slot matters more, because his territory currently holds 3 legendary heroes and another legendary token is already waiting in inventory. Jiang Chen's first reaction is still to send the swimsuit blueprints to the new tailor, proving priorities survive even under political pressure. The serious upgrades begin with the Life Fountain at level 7. It now produces 2 bottles of Life Source Liquid and 30 bottles of Life Water every day. Life Source Liquid advances natural aptitude, giving Jiang Chen a realistic path toward a ranked talent before the county election. The fountain also allows each unit up to 10 resurrections per day, changing high-risk grinding into a renewable operating expense. His second upgrade is the level 7 Celestial Sound Pavilion, where a new feature called Sect Fortune appears. The pavilion also unlocks a branch building system that stops Jiang Chen cold when he reads the description. A Celestial Sound Branch is a portable troop building that recruits an outstanding hero as branch master and outstanding Celestial Sound disciples. Creating one blueprint costs 10,000 Sect Fortune, and only female human lords can construct the completed branch. For weeks, major families have assumed Jiang Chen would eventually reverse engineer a building for the extraordinary troop type associated with him. Their assumption was wrong about the origin, because the Empress brought her school, rather than Jiang Chen inventing the disciples himself. The result, however, has now become true anyway. He can mass-produce a genuine branch blueprint through the upgraded pavilion. Allied female lords can receive a building that includes its own hero and an ongoing source of outstanding troops. Jiang Chen recognizes the system as more than military expansion. It is a franchise model for influence across the county. The branch blueprint does not recreate every headquarters advantage, and Jiang Chen considers that limitation useful rather than disappointing. A branch can recruit outstanding disciples endlessly, but it cannot use the main pavilion's trial tower to push those troops into epic promotions. That keeps Dragon Abyss's central school permanently more valuable than any copy distributed to allies or customers. Technique packages are also configurable, allowing Jiang Chen to decide whether a recipient receives the strongest ethereal arts training or a simpler commercial curriculum. In practice, he can reward trusted allies with full versions while protecting the techniques that make his own disciples uniquely dangerous. The restriction to female human lords narrows the market, but also makes suitable recipients easier to evaluate politically. Chu Xia fits the condition immediately, while Yi Ya's fox spirit race and other allies may require different future branches or solutions. Mu Qingxuan remains another obvious candidate, because military connections could spread the building's influence beyond Dragon Abyss itself. Jiang Chen refuses to manufacture multiple copies before seeing one branch work in another territory, treating the first blueprint as a field test. That caution is unusual for someone who spends hundreds of millions on upgrades, but reproducible military infrastructure carries risks ordinary weapons do not. One legendary sword can be stolen. A troop building can create soldiers for years after it leaves his control. The Celestial Sound Branch therefore becomes both a reward and a contract, even before Jiang Chen formally writes any agreement around it. His earlier generosity has already built the kind of allies who may be trusted with that level of asset. Chu Xia repeatedly finds resources, protects town interests, and refuses personal profit when public funds can use the money better. That behavior matters more to Jiang Chen than maximizing the immediate selling price of the first blueprint. The first branch blueprint forms after he spends 10,000 sect fortune, and Jiang Chen considers Chu Xia, Yi Ya, and Mu Qingxuan as recipients. Before choosing, a transfer notice arrives from Chu Xia for 5 million spirit stones. Jiang Chen briefly wonders whether someone has somehow bugged deep space, because he created the blueprint only seconds earlier. Chu Xia calls immediately and reminds him of the unrelated Mountain King recruitment, right? He promised her for the same price. Jiang Chen had almost forgotten the Dwarf Royal Palace because Mountain Kings now rank below many of his routine troops. He confirms the promised monthly unit is hers, then makes a separate decision after seeing how excited she is. Jiang Chen mails Chu Xia the first Celestial Sound Branch blueprint and asks her to check whether she can construct it. He ends the call before she can turn the gift into another argument about payment or explanation. Chu Xia receives the branch for free, despite having just paid for an unrelated Mountain King, a distinction Jiang Chen keeps clear even if the timing makes it look absurdly generous. Her territory can now test whether an allied female lord truly receives the promised outstanding branch master and continuing disciple recruitment outside the main pavilion. If the first field deployment works, Jiang Chen will possess something more scalable than a legendary weapon, a repeatable way to seed trusted territories with elite military infrastructure. That possibility is why Lu Ashi's later reaction matters more than Chu Xia's personal excitement. An experienced city lord immediately recognizes the century-scale development shortcut. With political leverage secured, Jiang Chen turns to a recurring nuisance at his neglected tavern. Orlando, a wandering elf hero and dramatic bard, has appeared repeatedly since Jiang Chen's reputation became famous. The first visits were flattering, but repetition has turned Orlando into the only person who treats Jiang Chen's neglected tavern like a destination resort. The building is barely maintained because Jiang Chen prefers spending on legendary infrastructure, yet the elf keeps returning with fresh reasons he should be recruited. Orlando advertises a useful speed skill and dual C-rank command authority over archers and hunters. He also believes another breakthrough could push him into epic quality, which would make most ordinary town lords compete aggressively for his contract. Jiang Chen's standards have become so distorted that an aspiring epic wandering hero now feels less urgent than upgrading another batch of regular troops. Orlando notices the women surrounding Jiang Chen and eventually decides gender must be the hidden requirement. Nobody is willing to say aloud. That accusation hits close enough to Jiang Chen's recent recruitment habits that irritation arrives before a good denial does. He still refuses to insult the elf openly because basic lord education warns that wandering heroes may carry noble identities or powerful patrons. Offending a random bard today could create an elf prince or kingdom-level problem months later, an exchange Jiang Chen has no desire to test. Instead, he offers Orlando a respectable alternative lord who would actually build an army around those command talents. The elf interprets generosity as rejection, sighs as if finishing a tragic romance, and upgrades his own conclusion from epic to legendary competition. His final bow is elegant enough that Jiang Chen briefly wonders whether the man practices departures as seriously as combat skills. The repeated visits have one concerning pattern, though. Orlando lingers near the tavern in ways that suggest he senses the life fountain hidden nearby. Jiang Chen cannot move every valuable building forever, simply because one bard is persistent, but he can keep the fountain inside Blessed Paradise and limit access. He also avoids giving Orlando enough hostility to make the elf interested in exposing whatever he suspects. For now, the wandering hero leaves voluntarily, which is the cheapest possible outcome to a problem Jiang Chen never wanted to spend resources solving. The empty tavern portal closes behind him, and Jiang Chen's attention returns immediately to a recruitment option Orlando cannot realistically compete with. The Horror King's legendary hero token has been waiting in inventory through every election and construction distraction of the last several days. Jiang Chen activates it at last, letting golden light fill the territory, while Orlando's dramatic exit is still fresh in his memory. At Chuxia's territory, Luoshi is visiting under the excuse of helping with Mountain King trade while quietly watching Jiang Chen's progress through her daughter. Luoshi praises his creativity, resources, principles, and appearance, then teases Chuxia about the obvious number of women around him. Normally, Chuxia would fight back immediately, but this time she is staring at a new system notice without hearing the joke. Her mother notices the silence and asks what could possibly surprise someone who has already seen 12 legendary dragons. Chuxia shows her the Celestial Sound Branch blueprint Jiang Chen just mailed. Luoshi's expression changes because she recognizes what the transferable building actually means for the wider Lord world. Experts expected the first reverse-engineered troop blueprint to require decades or even a century of development. Jiang Chen has produced one before the first month of this new era is even finished. What began with a frightened town losing half its population has become a territory holding 19 luck, hidden dimensions, legendary troops, and reproducible military infrastructure. The county election is still ahead. The ocean is still being mapped, and hostile factions still exist. But Dragon Abyss no longer needs to prove it belongs. Jiang Chen ends this stage with a new legendary hero arriving and the first Celestial Sound franchise already in an ally's hands. The people who once fled danger left a starter town. The 400 who stayed now live inside the fastest-growing power center in Qingyang County. Jiang Chen's next challenge is not surviving the county anymore, but deciding how much of it he intends to control. For the moment, he simply watches the golden recruitment light and lets the consequences of one impossible month speak for themselves.